Chapter 192. Chi. 7 silhouettes flickered rapidly. They were like 7 shadow wolves. Their speed was extremely fast. As their figures flashed, streams of sharp and ruthless sword, Chi avoided Lu Ming's ancient shield and stabbed towards Lu Ming. "Kill!" Lu Ming shouted, ignoring the attacks from all directions. He only targeted a 6th-layer martial master assassin and attacked with all his strength. The assassin was shocked and quickly retreated. However, Lu Ming was even faster. He used the high air steps to the extreme, and his body seemed to be weightless. Landslide! Lu Ming's long spear smashed down heavily from above. 100-meter-long spear light, as thick as a water tank, smashed towards the assassin. Bang! Although the assassin tried his best to block, he was still sent flying and blood spurted out of his mouth. Chasing thunder! With a sizzling sound, the spear light pierced through the assassin's heart like lightning. Another person was killed. However, in the process, Lu Ming was hit 7 or 8 times. Even with the spirit-devouring bloodline, his face was still pale and blood flowed out of the corner of his mouth. He was injured. At this moment, his aura was rapidly declining. It was time for his bloodline to erupt. It's time for his bloodline to erupt. The remaining assassins were overjoyed. Just now, Lu Ming was like an undying demon god. He ignored the attacks and killed 2 people in a row, which made their hearts tremble. He's already injured and his strength has weakened. He can't escape. A 7th-layer martial master assassin shouted. The figures of the remaining 5 flashed, and they surrounded Lu Ming. "You were sent by the Duanmu family, right?" Lu Ming suddenly asked. "Humph. Why do you care who sent us? We're here to take your life anyway." An assassin sneered, his voice cold. Lu Ming sneered. Although the other party did not go easy on him, he was sure that it was the Duanmu family. Other than the Duanmu family, who would want to kill him? He guessed that he had been targeted not long after coming out of Firestorm City. Moreover, when Lu Ming went to the Mystic Essence Sword Sect to participate in the assessment, he was assassinated by the Shadow Wolf Pavilion in Mystic Sword City. At that time, his only enemy was the Duanmu clan. Lu Ming would never believe that it wasn't the Duanmu clan. "Speak. What is the relationship between the Duanmu clan and your Shadow Wolf Pavilion? Or perhaps, what is the relationship between your Shadow Wolf Pavilion and the Mystic Essence Sword Sect?" Lu Ming asked coldly. "You're about to die, yet you still have so many questions. However, you'd better go and ask the King of Hell. Kill!" A 7th-level martial master assassin coldly shouted and charged towards Lu Ming. The other 5 people also launched their attacks. Sword Chi was like a net covering Lu Ming. Whoosh! Lu Ming didn't take it head-on. Instead, he used high air steps to dodge. However, the other party was a top-notch assassin with a tacit understanding of each other. Lu Ming simply could not dodge all of their attacks. If not for the protection of the ancient shield, he would have been injured long ago. Even so, Lu Ming was still surrounded by danger. Lu Ming's current cultivation was at the peak of the 3rd-level martial master realm. Without activating his bloodline, he could fight against a 7th-level martial master expert and even suppress them. However, the other party had 3 7th-level martial masters and 3 6th-level martial masters. With their tacit understanding of each other, Lu Ming was completely at a disadvantage. 6 streams of sword Qi completely enveloped Lu Ming. Lu Ming's long spear moved horizontally as he fought with them. Bang! A 6th-level martial master assassin was swept by the long spear, and his body was sent flying 100 meters away. His face was pale. However, Lu Ming also paid a price. There was an additional sword wound on his body, and blood flowed out. Refine for me!" Lu Ming roared. In his body, he had just devoured the blood essence of 2 6th-level martial master assassins. At this moment, he was fighting and refining it at the same time. He wanted to break through to the next realm. His cultivation was originally at the peak of the 3rd level martial master realm. He was only a step away from the 4th level martial master realm. As long as he could break through, his battle strength would increase greatly and he would be able to fight back. However, it was not so easy to break through to the next realm after reaching the martial master realm. Boom! The true chi in his body was rumbling, but it was difficult to break through in a short period of time. Not enough energy. I have to kill another person and devour another person's blood essence before I can break through. Lu Ming roared in his heart. Kill! He used all his strength to pounce towards the injured assassin. However, how could the other assassins let him do as he wished? They attacked him with all their might. Not long after, 2 more wounds appeared on Lu Ming's body. If he had not dodged in time, he would have been split in half. However, he got the result he wanted after getting injured. That 6th level martial master assassin was once again swept by Lu Ming's spear. This spear was even more domineering. Half of the opponent's body almost exploded as he flew out. He was already half dead. Die! Lu Ming dashed forward without a care for anything else. Pucci! Lu Ming paid the price of another wound, but he also finished off that 6th level martial master assassin with a single spear. Devour! The spirit-devouring bloodline erupted with a powerful devouring power and devoured the opponent's blood essence in an instant. Rumble! Suddenly, waves of energy emerged from the bloodline. Break! Break for me! Lu Ming roared in his heart as he dodged the remaining assassin's attacks with all his might. After a dozen more moves, Lu Ming's injuries became more serious and the situation became more and more unfavorable for him. Boom! At this moment, a rumble suddenly erupted from his body. Lu Ming's aura instantly surged. He had broken through to the 4th level martial master realm. Boom! Lu Ming swept out with his spear and collided with a 7th level martial master assassin. The long spear and the battle sword clashed. The assassin's face suddenly changed. His battle sword was bent and his body was sent flying backwards with a swish sound. How is it possible to break through to the next realm? An assassin roared. Now let's see who will kill who. Lu Ming roared. His aura was wild as he swept out with his long spear. The spear light was like a mountain. Bang! Bang! 2 6th level martial master assassins were directly sent flying. They slid on the mountain for dozens of meters and were already half dead, unable to move. Monster, what a monster. Let's go. The remaining 3 7th level martial master experts' faces changed. Without thinking, they actually turned around and ran. Lu Ming's eyes were cold as he stared at one of them and chased after him. Ah! The assassin who was being chased by Lu Ming roared. He was shocked because he realized that his speed was not as fast as Lu Ming's. Soon Lu Ming caught up. I'll fight you to the death. The assassin roared and attacked Lu Ming. Unfortunately, he was not Lu Ming's opponent at all. Now, Lu Ming had already broken through to the 4th level martial master realm. Even if he faced an 8th level martial master, he could still fight, let alone him. Completely suppressed. This assassin used all his strength and could only resist a dozen moves before he was pierced through by Lu Ming's spear. Then Lu Ming devoured the assassin's blood essence and turned around to kill the other 2 6th level martial master assassins and devoured their blood essence. Storage ring. Lu Ming realized that each of these assassins had a storage ring. Lu Ming took it without hesitation. Then his figure moved and headed towards the deep mountains and forests. After running for more than 30 miles in one breath, Lu Ming stopped. His body trembled and he spat out a mouthful of blood. Although he had achieved great results in the battle just now, his injuries were not light either. Duanmu family, if I, Lu Ming, don't flatten you, I swear I'm not human. Chapter 193. After that, Lu Ming entered the Temple of Paragon and started to refine the essence blood to heal himself. At this moment, on a mountain peak 100 miles away from Lu Ming, a black-robed man with a golden wolf mask stood with his hands behind his back. He was exuding a cold, murderous aura. He was the golden wolf assassin from the Shadow Wolf Pavilion. Whoosh! Whoosh! Suddenly, two figures rushed toward the mountain peak as fast as lightning. When they arrived in front of the man with the golden wolf mask, they immediately knelt down. What happened? Where are the others? The man with the golden wolf mask asked coldly. Sir, the others are all dead. They were killed by Lu Ming. The information we received was wrong. Lu Ming is not half crippled. One of the silver wolf assassins said. Not crippled? Then, can he still use his beast soul? The golden wolf assassin asked. I don't think so. Although he killed so many of our men, Lu Ming's injuries are not light. He didn't use his beast soul even in such a situation. I think he has used up all his beast souls. One of the silver wolf assassins guessed. Good. It's good that he doesn't have any beast souls. Lu Ming is dead for sure. The two of you, follow me and go after Lu Ming. The golden wolf assassin ordered. Previously, he did not attack together because he was afraid that Lu Ming still had beast souls, so he sent someone to test him first. Now that it was confirmed that Lu Ming did not have any beast souls, he was going to attack. Yes. The two silver wolf assassins answered. With the sound of something breaking through the air, the three figures disappeared without a trace. In the Temple of Paragon, Lu Ming was refining the essence blood with all his might. Fortunately, most of his injuries were external, so it was relatively easy to treat them. When the essence blood turned into rolling energy and was refined by Lu Ming, his injuries healed quickly. His muscles wriggled and his wounds began to heal. Soon, Lu Ming's wounds began to scab. This was also because Lu Ming's physical body had reached the complete second grade. Ordinary people would not be able to do this. 2 days later, Lu Ming's injuries had completely healed, and his cultivation had even improved. I'm afraid that the Shadow Wolf Pavilion will not give up so easily. They will definitely send people after me. I cannot take the main road to the imperial capital this time. I will travel along the desolate mountain range. I can hunt demonic beasts along the way and raise my cultivation. I can also practice martial techniques. Lu Ming fell into deep thought. After that, he walked out of the Temple of Paragon and hid his aura. He walked through the forest towards the imperial capital. But not long after, Lu Ming felt a terrifying pressure coming from afar. Whoosh! A beam of rainbow light pierced through the air. Within the rainbow light was a black-robed man wearing a golden wolf mask. Martial Ancestor Realm Expert, Shadow Wolf Pavilion's golden wolf assassin. Lu Ming's expression changed greatly. The golden wolf assassins of the Shadow Wolf Pavilion were all experts at the martial ancestor realm and above. They were not people that Lu Ming could defeat. Go. Without any hesitation, Lu Ming executed the airborne steps to the maximum and ran towards the depths of the forest. Ha ha ha, Lu Ming! I don't know what method you used to hide for 2 days. But now, you can't hide anymore and have shown yourself. Let's see where you can run to this time. The golden wolf assassin let out an ear-piercing laugh. Lu Ming ran wildly. He stepped on the trees, and his body shot forward like a bolt of lightning. He was so fast that he looked like a phantom. However, the golden wolf assassin was a martial ancestor realm expert and could walk in the air. His speed was beyond the realm of mortals. Lu Ming could not shake him off at all. Die. Whoosh! A beam of sword qi pierced through the air and charged towards Lu Ming. It was fast, ruthless, and extremely powerful. Dodge! I have to dodge! Lu Ming growled. His body moved continuously, and he barely managed to dodge the sword. But he was also hit by the sword, and a part of his sleeve disappeared. You actually managed to dodge my sword. What about now? The golden wolf assassin sneered and waved the combat sword in his hand. Whoosh whoosh! There were more than 10 beams of sword qi. Each of them was extremely powerful and unstoppable. Ancient shield. Lu Ming shouted, and an ancient shield appeared. Clang! The sword Qi slashed on the shield, and the shield shook violently. Then it exploded. Lu Ming's body was also sent flying dozens of meters backward. He crashed into a tree that was so thick that it would take one person to hug it. At this moment, the sound of something breaking through the air could be heard. Two figures rushed over. They were the two silver wolf assassins. Lu Ming, you won't be able to escape this time. One of the silver wolf assassins laughed loudly. Shadow Wolf Pavilion, I don't care where you came from. As long as I, Lu Ming, am alive, I will destroy your Shadow Wolf Pavilion. Lu Ming growled and continued to run into the depths of the forest. You want to destroy my Shadow Wolf Pavilion? How naive. The Golden Wolf assassin sneered and continued to chase him in the sky. Behind the golden mask, there was a cold look in his eyes. He was looking for an opportunity to kill with a single strike. Facing a genius like Lu Ming, even someone as powerful as him didn't dare to underestimate him. Otherwise, he would be the one at a disadvantage. This is the time. The Golden Wolf assassin's eyes suddenly lit up. The combat sword in his hand glowed, and a bright and sharp sword Qi pierced out. The Golden Wolf assassin used all his strength in this attack. It was unbelievably fast. Moreover, it seemed like he had calculated Lu Ming's running route. It seemed like Lu Ming was going to collide with the sword Qi. Oh no! Lu Ming's heart beat rapidly and his hair stood on end. At this moment, he could feel the aura of death. It was as if the Grim Reaper was pointing his scythe at him. I can't dodge it. I have to block it. I can't die yet. Lu Ming screamed in his heart. His eyes were bloodshot. In an instant, the power of his bloodline erupted. At the same time, an ancient shield appeared. Explode! Lu Ming stabbed out with his long spear. The tip of the spear emitted a bright light. It was as if there was a bright star at the tip of Lu Ming's spear. A terrifying wave burst out. This was the strongest move that Lu Ming could perform at the moment. It blasted towards the sword Qi above his head. Qi! Suddenly, a white light flew out from the depths of the forest. It was like a flying immortal. It also blasted towards the sword Qi of the Golden Wolf assassin. Boom! Lu Ming's attack combined with the white light and collided with the sword Qi of the Golden Wolf assassin. Violent energy shot out in all directions. The trees, flowers, and other things in the forest were instantly crushed into pieces. Lu Ming felt a powerful surge of energy. His body flew back dozens of meters. However, he also blocked the Golden Wolf assassin's attack. Who helped me? Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. Who? How dare you block me? Are you courting death? The Golden Wolf assassin roared. In the depths of the forest, a white figure flashed out. The person who came was actually a young woman. She wore a white dress. Her skin was like jade, and she was extremely beautiful. Seeing this woman, Lu Ming was shocked. He couldn't help but blurt out, "Xian Yinqing, it's you." The young woman's eyes flashed. She looked at Lu Ming and shouted, "Come with me!" After saying that, her figure flashed. Like a fairy from the ninth heaven, she ran towards the depths of the forest. Chapter 194. You want to leave? None of you can leave today. The Golden Wolf assassin roared and chased after them. Below, the two silver wolf assassins also quickly followed behind. In a dozen breaths, they had covered a few hundred meters and arrived at a purple bamboo forest. At this point, the young woman stopped. "Xian Yinqing, leave quickly. The opponent is a martial arts grandmaster. Even if we join forces, we won't be a match for him." Lu Ming exclaimed softly, "I'm not Xian Yinqing." The young woman suddenly glanced at Lu Ming and said coldly. Lu Ming was stunned. Not Xian Yinqing? How could it be? She looked exactly like Xian Yinqing. How could she not be him? What was this girl up to again? Wait a minute. Something's not right. This woman is different from Xian Yinqing. Lu Ming took a closer look. Indeed, although this woman looked exactly like Xian Yinqing, there were still some differences. First of all, this woman should be slightly older than Xian Yinqing by 1 or 2 years. Xian Yinqing looked younger than Lu Ming, while this woman was about the same age as Lu Ming. Also, their temperaments were completely different. Xian Yinqing was mischievous like a little witch. This woman, on the other hand, had a calm expression, like an otherworldly fairy. How could there be two people who look so similar in this world? Lu Ming sighed inwardly. Swoosh! The golden wolf assassin flew above the purple bamboo forest. Behind him, the 2 silver wolf assassins also flew over. Haha, so it's such a beautiful woman. Good. I can kill Lu Ming and have a good time. When the golden wolf assassin saw the young woman's face, his eyes lit up and revealed a lustful look. He secretly sighed that his luck was really good. Chasing Lu Ming, he actually encountered such a peerless beauty. This trip was not in vain. You're courting death. The golden wolf assassin's words caused the young woman's eyes to emit a cold, killing intent. Her originally cold face became even colder. Demon slaughtering formation, rise. Suddenly, the young woman shouted softly. Her hands formed a seal, and inscriptions appeared out of thin air and flew into the purple bamboo forest. Whoa! In the purple bamboo forest, there was a soft sound. Then, rays of white light shot up into the sky. These white rays of light converged in the air, forming white sword chi. As the sword chi swam, a shocking killing intent filled the air. The Great Inscription Formation. So you set up the Great Inscription Formation here. But even if there is a Great Inscription Formation, so what? What can you, a great martial master, do to me? The golden wolf assassin sneered. Demon slaying formation. Slay demons and eliminate demons. The young woman shouted and waved her hands. In the air, 3 streaks of white sword chi danced and whistled towards the golden wolf assassin. Demon slaughtering array. Let's see who you can slaughter. Break. The golden wolf assassin slashed out with his sword, and 3 resplendent sword chi blasted towards the white sword chi. Boom! 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 There was an explosion, but it did not destroy the young woman's great inscription formation as the golden wolf assassin had expected. The sword chi collided and dissipated together. How can she be so strong? The golden wolf assassin was shocked. However, the young woman waved her hand again. In the purple bamboo forest, the white light became brighter. In an instant, more than 10 streaks of white sword chi condensed in the air. Oh no, you guys retreat. The golden wolf assassin's face changed greatly, and he shouted at the 2 silver wolf assassins. It's too late. The young woman's voice seemed to be emotionless and incomparably cold. As her voice fell, the white sword chi in the air also crossed the void. With 2 screams, the 2 silver wolf assassins of the 7th level martial mentor realm were pierced through by the sword chi and killed in the forest. At the same time, more sword chi rushed towards the golden wolf assassins. Damn it! The golden wolf assassin roared. Blood flashed on his body, and a black giant wolf appeared. There were 8 blood-colored chakras on the giant wolf. This was the 2nd bloodline awakening of the golden wolf assassin. The 2nd bloodline was a level 8 ordinary bloodline. The golden wolf assassin's combat strength increased greatly, and in an instant he slashed out more than 10 times. Whoosh, 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 in the sky, sword chi crisscrossed. Streaks of black sword chi and white sword chi intersected, and the terrifying sword chi shot out in all directions. Demon slaying formation, God slaying. The young woman shouted softly. Her body emitted a dazzling white light, and she looked incomparably holy. In the purple bamboo forest, the power of the inscription formation was even stronger. Streaks of sword chi seemed to appear endlessly, and they blasted towards the golden wolf assassin. Ah! Suddenly there was a scream. Blood splattered, and one of the Golden Wolf assassin's arms was cut off. The Golden Wolf assassin roared. He became one with his sword and turned into a dazzling sword light that soared into the sky, out of the attack range of the inscription formation. Damn it! I'll remember today's big grudge. The two of you will face the endless pursuit of my Shadow Wolf Pavilion. The Golden Wolf assassin roared, filled with endless killing intent. Then he turned into a streak of light and disappeared in the sky. What a pity! The young woman sighed softly, as if it was a pity that she didn't kill the Golden Wolf assassin. Lu Ming, on the other hand, was shocked. This woman's methods were really shocking. She actually used an inscription formation to cut off one of the Golden Wolf assassin's arms. Although the Golden Wolf assassin's cultivation was at the first martial ancestor realm, but this woman's cultivation was only at the 6th martial master realm. The gap between a martial grandmaster realm and a martial ancestor realm was huge, and it was difficult to cross. What a terrifying formation! What is this woman's background? Lu Ming thought to himself, "All right, the other party has left. You should leave too." The young woman looked at Lu Ming with her beautiful eyes. Her voice was still cold, like a fairy that couldn't be approached. "Miss, why did you save me?" Lu Ming asked. He was a little curious. He had never met this woman before. So why would she spend so much effort to save him, and even fight a martial ancestor realm expert? He didn't think that he had such great charm, and looking at the young woman's expression, it didn't seem like it was because of his charm. Woo, woo! At this moment, a flash of lightning appeared in the depths of the purple bamboo forest. No, that wasn't lightning. It was a leopard, a lightning leopard. Lightning leopard! Lu Ming's eyes suddenly lit up. He remembered that when he had just joined the Mystic Essence Sword Sect and participated in the assessment, he had released a lightning leopard cub and obtained a little lightning leopard blood. Although the lightning leopard in front of him wasn't a cub, it was very young and was quite similar to the lightning leopard cub back then. Woo woo! The lightning leopard stared at Lu Ming and barked a few times. Then it approached Lu Ming and rubbed against Lu Ming's thigh. "You are the one from back then." Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Woo woo! The lightning leopard nodded. It was really the lightning leopard cub from back then. What a coincidence! If you hadn't saved little lightning once, why would I save you this time? Chapter 195. The young woman's voice was very cold. She continued, "If little Sean hadn't recognized you just now, I wouldn't have saved you. This is good too. You saved little Sean once, and I saved you once. From now on, we don't owe each other anything." Lu Ming was speechless. This woman was too arrogant and cold. At the same time, Lu Ming also understood that the reason why she had saved him was because the lightning leopard had discovered him. No matter what, it's all because you saved me this time. Lu Ming is grateful. I'll take my leave then. Lu Ming cupped his fists and then turned to leave. Wait a minute. Unexpectedly, the young woman called out. Lu Ming turned and said, "May I know what's the matter, miss?" "I heard you call me Xie Nianqing just now. You're Xie Nianqing's friend, right?" the young woman asked. Friend? Lu Ming couldn't help but think of his relationship with Xie Nianqing. It was already good enough that Xie Nianqing didn't attack him when she saw him. How could she be his friend? Lu Ming shook his head and said, "I've only met Xie Nianqing once. We can't be considered friends. I don't care if you're her friend or not. The next time you see her, help me pass her a message. Tell her not to keep thinking about surpassing me, because it's just a waste of time. It's impossible." The young woman said, her voice filled with confidence and a sense of superiority. Seeing this expression, Lu Ming didn't know why, but he felt uncomfortable in his heart. "May I know what's the relationship between you and Xie Nianqing? If I meet her, I'll definitely pass on the message," Lu Ming said indifferently. His voice also became a little cold. "I'm Xie Nianjuan. I'm her elder sister. The young woman said. As expected, no wonder they look exactly the same. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat, but other than their looks, the two sisters were too different in other aspects. All right, the Shadow Wolf Pavilion will definitely send people here. I'm leaving. You should leave too, Xian Yinjuan said indifferently. Miss, why don't you leave first? I'll leave after a while, Lu Ming said. Suit yourself, Xian Yinjuan said indifferently. From beginning to end, he didn't even look at the two silver wolf assassins' corpses. She turned around and floated away. Her white dress fluttered in the wind, making her look like a fairy from the 9 heavens. Is the item left behind by a 7th-level martial master not even worth mentioning in her eyes? But I won't miss it. Lu Ming walked towards the bodies of the 2 silver wolf assassins. After devouring their blood essences, he took off their storage rings. With a flash, Lu Ming left the place and headed towards the depths of the forest. In the forest, ancient trees towered into the sky. Lu Ming walked for more than 100 miles. Then, with a thought, he entered the Temple of Paragon and began to refine the blood essence. Not long after, the meridian blood of the 2 7th-level martial grandmasters was completely refined by Lu Ming. Lu Ming's cultivation had also reached the mid-7th level martial grandmaster. After refining the essence blood, Lu Ming started to organize the storage rings he got from the Shadow Wolf Pavilion. There were a total of 8 rings. In the end, he got more than 60 million taels of silver. The silver was just a small number. The most important thing was the spirit crystals. After sorting them out, there were more than 23,000 pieces. Adding the previous ones, Lu Ming had nearly 40,000 spirit crystals. Other than the silver and spirit crystals, the rest were all miscellaneous items. They weren't of much help to Lu Ming. Is this a disguised mask? Suddenly, Lu Ming found a disguised mask among the clothes and miscellaneous items. The Shadow Wolf Pavilion was an assassin organization. They often had to disguise themselves to assassinate people. It was normal for them to have a disguise on them. Lu Ming looked at it carefully and found that the quality of the disguise was very good. It should be made from the skin of some kind of demonic beast. Lu Ming put the disguise on his face. It didn't feel like he was wearing anything because it was very thin. I wonder how effective it is. Let's go out and take a look. Lu Ming went out of the Temple of Paragon and found a pool in the forest. He looked at himself in the pool. Suddenly, a young man in his 20s with a dark face and a rather cold face came into view. What a wonderful disguise. It's like I'm a completely different person. Lu Ming looked at it carefully and found that the disguise was tightly attached to his face. It was impossible to tell that he was wearing a disguise. Then let's change again. With a thought, crackling sounds could be heard from Lu Ming's body. His bones were wriggling, and in the end, Lu Ming's height actually increased by a little. His figure also became a little more burly. Lu Ming could only do this when his physical body reached the complete 2nd grade. It could cause slight changes in his physical body. Although the changes weren't big, with the disguise, Lu Ming seemed to be a completely different person. Even the people closest to him wouldn't be able to recognize him. Good. This way, I won't be afraid of the Shadow Wolf Pavilion. Moreover, no one will be able to recognize me when I go to the imperial capital. This will make it easier for me to investigate my father's matter. Lu Ming thought. Then, Lu Ming continued to go deep into the mountains. According to his previous plan, he would cultivate as he went to the imperial capital. Now, Lu Ming's cultivation mainly had 3 directions. One was the comprehension of the fire force, the second was the high air steps, and the third was the ancient shield technique. Roar! 7 days later, a Class 6 LV-3 demonic beast covered in scales was pierced through the throat by Lu Ming's spear. It roared and fell to the ground. The spirit-devouring bloodline activated and devoured the demonic beast's blood essence. At the same time, the monster core appeared in Lu Ming's hand. The blood essence was used by Lu Ming to upgrade his bloodline grade. while the monster core was used to improve his cultivation. Just like this, he hunted demonic beasts while he went to the imperial capital. 1 month later, a swift-winged sparrow flapped its wings in the air and fled frantically. Behind it, Lu Ming stepped on the void and followed, closely behind the swift-winged sparrow at lightning speed. Swoosh! Swoosh! Lu Ming's body seemed to be weightless as he floated in the air. After flying for a few hundred meters, Lu Ming's body slowly landed. After landing, Lu Ming stepped on the tip of a big tree. Lu Ming's body shot into the sky like an arrow and chased after the swift-winged sparrow. The swift-winged sparrow screeched in fright and flew desperately. However, no matter what it did, it couldn't get rid of Lu Ming. Haha, Lu Ming laughed. After flying for a few miles, Lu Ming landed on the top of a mountain and sat down cross-legged. After more than a month of hard work, Lu Ming's airborne steps had reached the peak of the 5th level. Just a little bit more, and he would be able to enter the 6th level. Just now, when he was chasing after the swift-winged sparrow, he suddenly understood something. Wind, invisible yet omnipresent. Wind, light, erratic yet fast as lightning. Ow, ah. Lu Ming closed his eyes and quietly comprehended. The principle of the airborne steps was to use the genuine qi in the body to resonate with the wind and the air to achieve the purpose of riding the wind for a short period of time. Feeling the breeze from the top of the mountain, Lu Ming's face revealed a smile. A green breeze slowly swirled around his body. Lu Ming's body seemed to be as light as a feather, as if he could be blown away by the wind at any time. After an unknown period of time, swish! Lu Ming suddenly opened his eyes. His figure moved, and he took a step forward. Chapter 196. With his hands behind his back, Lu Ming walked step by step in the air as if he was walking on flat ground. The 6th stage of the airborne steps, man and martial arts as one, I finally reached it. A faint smile hung on Lu Ming's face. Lu Ming was only a 4th-grade martial master. Furthermore, it had not been long since he became a martial master. Yet he was able to cultivate a profound class, superior grade, martial arts technique to the realm of man and martial arts as one. If news of this were to spread, it would shock many people. It seems that I am indeed a peerless genius. Lu Ming laughed shamelessly. In the past, with the chanting of scriptures, his cultivation speed was extremely fast. However, now that the chanting of scriptures had disappeared, Lu Ming only battled with himself every day, and his cultivation speed did not decrease. It could be seen that Lu Ming's talent was extremely shocking. Whoosh! Whoosh! Lu Ming walked step by step. His body was like a bolt of lightning crossing the sky. In the blink of an eye, he was a few hundred meters away. However, there was no sign of him descending. Lu Ming continued to walk in the air. His body faintly gave off a light and erratic feeling. Wind force. Is this the wind force? Lu Ming muttered to himself. Previously, when he comprehended the airborne steps and broke through to the airborne steps, he took the opportunity to comprehend a little bit of the wind force. Although it was only a little bit, it was already enough to make Lu Ming go wild with joy. Ordinary people were only qualified to comprehend force when they reached the martial ancestor realm. However, Lu Ming's fire force had already reached the small success stage, and he had even comprehended the 2nd force, wind force. In the future, when he combined wind and fire, his power would definitely be even more shocking. Using the wind force together with the airborne steps, the power of the airborne steps would reach a shocking level. Lu Ming walked in the air for a full 2,000 meters before slowly descending. Originally, even if he cultivated the airborne steps to the 6th stage, it would be considered good to be able to walk 1,000 meters in the air. Caw! Suddenly, there was a screech from below. Then, a golden goshawk soared into the sky. It flapped its wings, and streaks of golden feathers shot toward Lu Ming like golden divine swords. Class 7 LV 3 demonic beast, golden goshawk. Finally, a decent demonic beast. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. In the next moment, two ancient shields appeared in front of Lu Ming. Clang! Clang! The golden feathers landed on the shield, emitting the sound of metal clashing. Sparks flew in all directions in the air. However, the shield in front of Lu Ming did not budge. Kill! The power of wind and fire! Lu Ming stabbed out with his spear. The spear contained a blazing aura. At the same time, the wind assisted the fire, causing Lu Ming's spear to completely transform into a flaming spear. The spear broke through all obstacles and pierced into the golden goshawk's chest. The violent energy instantly tore apart the golden goshawk's internal organs. The golden goshawk let out a shriek and died. A single spear killed a Class 7 LV-3 demonic beast. The combination of the power of wind and fire is actually so powerful. Lu Ming was pleasantly surprised. Currently, he was only at the entry level of the wind force. He could imagine that if his understanding of the wind force became more profound, it would be even more powerful when combined with the fire force. However, wind and fire complement each other. That's why it was so easy to combine them. If they were two opposite forces, it would not be so easy to combine them. Lu Ming was very clear. Moreover, this was only a preliminary combination. It was not a true combination. Now, I finally have the ability to protect myself when facing a martial ancestor realm martial artist. Lu Ming thought to himself. In the past, when he faced a martial ancestor realm expert, he could not escape even if he used all his strength. However, Lu Ming was slightly more confident now. Next, Lu Ming continued to cultivate as he headed to the Imperial City. Lu Ming was not in a hurry. Therefore, it took Lu Ming another half a month to reach the Imperial City. In front of him, there was a huge object. It was boundless and spanned between heaven and earth as if it had existed since ancient times. As he walked closer, he realized that it was even bigger. The Black City Wall was 100 meters high and extended into the sky. It was impossible to see how long the city wall was. At a glance, there seemed to be no end to it. According to legend, the Imperial City of the Burning Sun was 100 miles long in each direction. It was extremely majestic. On top of the city walls, there were rows of armored soldiers standing in rows. Their armor was thick like a forest, and their armor was dense. Every soldier emitted a powerful aura. The Imperial City of the Burning Sun Empire was the most majestic city in the Burning Sun Empire. It was the core of the Burning Sun Imperial family's power. According to legend, 800 years ago, the Burning Sun Imperial family was the most powerful force in the Burning Sun Empire. All the major sects had to bow before the Burning Sun Imperial family. At that time, the Burning Sun Imperial family ruled the world. Thousands of cities in the Burning Sun Empire were under the rule of the Burning Sun Empire, and their strength was at its peak. Unfortunately, the Burning Sun Imperial family fell into internal strife and wars were endless. Later, their strength weakened and the sects rose. In particular, the Shifeng sword sect took control of the Imperial family and their strength increased tremendously. The Burning Sun Imperial family would not be able to make a comeback. Now, the people of the Burning Sun Empire only had the 5 major sects in their eyes. The influence of the Imperial family was very weak. Lu Ming walked along the official road and entered the Imperial City. The streets of the Imperial City were very wide. It would not be a problem for 10 carriages to travel side by side. On both sides of the street, there were many shops. There were elixir shops, weapon refining pavilions, and so on. It was not something that Firestorm City could compare to. Even Mysterious Sword City could not compare. The streets were bustling with people coming and going. Lu Ming looked around curiously as he walked. The Burning Sun Imperial City is so big. How should I investigate father's news? Lu Ming thought. For a moment he had no idea at all. Hua Qi said that he is in the Imperial City. Maybe he is from the Imperial City. If I can find him and ask him about the situation in the Imperial City and the division of forces, it will be of great help to my next move. But what made Lu Ming dumbfounded was that he did not know how to find Hua Qi. Forget it. The restaurant is the most informative place. Let's go to the restaurant first and find out more information while eating. Lu Ming was planning to look for a restaurant when there was a commotion on the street. Not good. Hua Jie is walking his beast again. What? Let's go. In the streets, the crowd was in chaos. The crowd was running around with fear on their faces. Roar. Suddenly, a deafening beast roar was heard. Then, at the end of the street, a behemoth was running towards them. It was a beast that was 3 meters tall and 6 to 7 meters long. Its body was covered with fiery red scales, and it was emitting a ferocious aura as it ran on the street. Rank 1, Rank 3, Cracked Armor Beast. Lu Ming recognized the beast's origin and level at a glance. Go. Behind the cracked armor beast, there was a group of people riding on horses and shouting loudly. As the cracked armor beast ran, the pedestrians on the street retreated. Even some experts of the martial grandmaster realm and above were shocked and retreated to the side. Mother, where are you? Ling Er is scared. Chapter 197. In the middle of the street, a little girl about 4 or 5 years old was crying. She had pigtails and was holding a stick of candied hawthorn in her hand. The cracked armor beast was charging at the little girl. Ling Er. Someone save my Ling. Not far away, a woman screamed in fear and ran toward the little girl. However, she was obviously not a warrior and could not make it in time. None of the other warriors around her made a move. The warrior's eyes were filled with fear. Roar! The cracked armor beast saw the little girl. It roared and charged toward the little girl with a bloodthirsty look in its eyes. In the blink of an eye, it was close to the little girl. The cracked armor beast opened its bloody mouth and bit at the little girl. Its huge bloody mouth was big enough to swallow the little girl in one bite. Behind it, the people on horseback laughed. Crack armor, enjoy it! A young man in a gold-threaded robe shouted excitedly. At this moment, the little girl had already forgotten to cry. She just stared blankly. Obviously, she was scared stiff. Ling Er. The woman uttered a shrill cry. Lu Ming frowned. How could they let a beast eat people on the street? Was this still the imperial capital? Just as the cracked armor beast was about to bite the little girl, Lu Ming moved. His body swayed slightly and appeared beside the little girl. He reached out to grab the little girl and floated back. Roar! Seeing that the fat meat in its mouth was snatched away, the cracked armor beast roared and charged toward Lu Ming with a murderous look in its eyes. Get lost! Lu Ming suddenly widened his eyes and shouted. A murderous aura that was even stronger than that of the cracked armor beast erupted. The cracked armor beast roared, and its eyes were filled with fear. Like a frightened puppy, it ran back. Who is it? How dare you stop my beast from eating? You're courting death. An angry roar sounded. Thud, 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 7 or 8 horses galloped toward them. The person in the lead was the young man in the gold-threaded robe. The young man's face was slightly pale. His eyes were malicious as he stared coldly at Lu Ming. Roar! The cracked armor beast stood in front of the young man in the gold-threaded roar at Lu Ming. Little girl, are you all right? Lu Ming did not even look at the young man. Instead, he smiled at the little girl in his arms. I'm fine. Thank you, big brother. The little girl said obediently. At this moment, the old woman, Ling, is next to the golden-robed young man. A thin-faced young man shouted coldly. He pulled out a soft whip and whipped the woman's body. Immediately, a bloody mark appeared and blood seeped out, dyeing her clothes red. That little girl is dead for sure. Isn't that so? How could Hua Jie's beast be satisfied with just kowtowing? What a pity for that young man. He's probably just arrived at the imperial capital, yet he actually interfered in this matter. I'm afraid his end will be miserable. He can only blame his bad luck. Whispers could be heard from all around. His voice was very soft, for fear that Hua Jia would hear him. But what kind of cultivation did Lu Ming have? Still, he listened to every single word that was said, but he only smiled. The woman continued to kowtow. On the war horse, the golden-robed young man, Hua Jia, frowned. His long and narrow eyes flashed with killing intent. "I told you to get lost, didn't you hear me?" A ferocious look appeared on the skinny young man's face as he lashed out at the woman with the whip again. Lu Ming frowned. He reached out and grabbed the soft whip in his hand. "Brat, you've got guts. I didn't look for you, but you still dared to interfere. Now kneel down and slap yourself 100 times. Obediently put down this little girl, and then scram." The thin-faced young man pointed at Lu Ming and yelled. Lu Ming's eyes darkened as he coldly stared at the thin-faced young man. "Brat, you're still not letting go? Fine. Since that's the case, you'll also become the food of my young master's war beast." The thin-faced young man pulled the whip and realized that it wouldn't budge. He immediately yelled again. "Do you usually feed your war beasts with humans?" Lu Ming coldly asked. "So what if we do? These lowly people are like ants. To be able to become the food of my young master's war beast is a blessing that they've cultivated for several lifetimes." The thin-faced young man hooted arrogantly. He didn't put Lu Ming in his eyes at all. "What nonsense are you talking about? Hurry up and kill this brat. Can't you see that I'm hungry?" At this moment, Hua Jia indifferently said. There was a hint of impatience in his voice. The thin-faced young man's expression changed greatly. He looked at Lu Ming ferociously and yelled, "Brat, then I'll send you on your way." After saying this, he jumped down from the war horse and pounced towards Lu Ming like a goshawk. His momentum was not weak at all. First layer martial grandmaster. Lu Ming's eyes moved. This thin-faced young man was not even 30 years old. It was already not bad for him to be a first-layer martial grandmaster. However, in front of Lu Ming, it was not enough. He flicked the whip in his hand, and a strong burst of true qi rushed towards the soft whip. The thin-faced young man was still holding the soft whip in one hand. He suddenly felt a surge of power coming from the soft whip. This power rushed into his palm and almost caused his palm to explode. A terrifying wound appeared on his palm. His hand also let go of the soft whip. Swish! Lu Ming flicked the soft whip like a snake and coiled it around the thin-faced young man's neck. He then flicked it, and the thin-faced young man heavily fell to the ground, stirring up a cloud of dust. With one move, he easily made the thin-faced young man, who was a first-layer martial grandmaster, lie on the ground like a dead dog. The sound of people sucking in cold air could be heard from all around. So powerful, finished in one move. What's so powerful about that? He dared to hit one of Hua Jia's men. He's finished. It seems like this is his first time in the imperial capital. That's true. Hua Jia will definitely not let him go. At this moment, the thin-faced young man let out an ear-piercing scream. "Ah! Smash! Little bastard, you actually dared to hit me. Young master, you must seek justice for me. Let the cracked armor chew him into pieces." "Is that so? If that's the case, then I'll feed you to the demonic beast." Lu Ming's eyes were cold. He flicked the soft whip in his hand, and the thin-faced young man's body directly flew towards the cracked armor beast. At the same time, the thin-faced young man's blood splashed into the cracked armor beast's mouth. Stimulated by the blood, the cracked armor beast let out a roar, and the bloodthirsty light in its eyes became stronger. Roar! With a roar, it opened its bloody mouth and directly bit towards the thin-faced young man. "No, no, don't!" The thin-faced young man was scared out of his wits and crazily screamed. "Ling Er, don't look!" Lu Ming blocked the little girl's eyes. Pucci, Chapter 198. Ah! The skinny young man screamed in agony. Roar! The cracked armor beast roared as its bloodlust intensified. "Crack armor! Stop right there!" Hua Jia roared from his warhorse. but the cracked armor beast had bitten off an arm. The blood made it go berserk. It ignored Hua Jie's words and continued to pounce on the skinny young man. Ah! Help! Help! The skinny young man screamed in agony. He wanted to run away, but he couldn't because of the whip. Lu Ming pulled the whip, and the skinny young man flew towards Lu Ming. The cracked armor beast roared and continued to pounce. Lu Ming put down the little girl and stepped forward. He pressed his palm against the cracked armor beast's head. Boom! The cracked armor beast's huge body was pressed to the ground by Lu Ming, causing cracks to appear on the ground. The cracked armor beast roared and struggled, but it was useless. The skinny young man screamed and looked at Lu Ming in confusion. He didn't know why Lu Ming wanted to save him. Don't misunderstand. I don't want to save you. I just want you to feel what it's like to be eaten by a beast. There was not a trace of emotion in his voice. No, please let me go. The skinny young man screamed. Let you go? No. It's a blessing to be the food of your young master's beast. I must fulfill your wish. Lu Ming smiled faintly. The skinny young man had said that himself. No, I was just talking nonsense. Just take it as a fart and let it go. The skinny young man said in a trembling voice. Enough. On the war horse. Hua Jie's expression was extremely gloomy. He looked at Lu Ming and said, Lad, this farce ends here. You have 3 breaths. Within 3 breaths, destroy your own cultivation and kowtow to me 18 times. Then I will let today's matter go. His words shocked everyone. Hua Jie was willing to let Lu Ming go. This was rare. It seemed like Hua Jie was a little afraid of Lu Ming. Hua Jie sat on his war horse and looked down at Lu Ming from above. In his opinion, he was already doing him a great favor by offering such conditions. However, Lu Ming didn't seem to appreciate it. Get out of my sight now, and I'll let it go. Lu Ming shouted. This caused the surrounding people to be dumbfounded. Hua Jie! It seemed like he didn't know anything about Hua Jie's identity. Next to her, the woman hugged Ling, tightly, trembling in fear. Hua Jie was stunned for a moment. Then, as if he had heard a hilarious joke, he laughed and said, You want me to get lost? Ha, good. Now, you have lost your only chance of survival. Kill him for me. Yes. Behind Hua Jie, 6 silhouettes jumped off their war horses. The eyes of the 6 middle-aged men shone brightly. The moment they leaped into the air, their auras exploded. They were all martial grandmasters. The weakest one was a 2nd-layer martial grandmaster. The strongest one was a 3rd-layer martial grandmaster. 3 2nd-layer martial grandmasters and 3 3rd-layer martial grandmasters. The 6 of them were powerful. They wanted to kill Lu Ming in one fell swoop. However, Lu Ming merely glanced at them nonchalantly before he waved his palm. Lu Ming's palm flickered. He had already infused the power of wind into it, making Lu Ming's palm unbelievably fast. Clap, clap, clap. Everyone only heard 6 slaps before they saw the 6 burly men fly back at a speed faster than they had pounced. They were like 6 broken sacks as they heavily fell to the ground. The crowd saw that the left side of each of the 6 men's faces was swollen. A clear handprint could be seen. Hiss! Gasps could be heard all around. Many people's eyes almost popped out. They were dumbfounded. 6 experts were sent flying with a single slap. They were all experts of the 2nd or 3rd layer of the martial master realm. Lu Ming looked like he was in his 20s. How could he be so terrifying? Where did this young expert come from? It was too shocking. The skinny young man was stunned. His eyes were filled with despair. Even the cracked armor beast was shocked. The bloodthirsty look in its eyes disappeared and was replaced by fear. It kept retreating. Hua Jie was also stunned. After a while, he reacted and shouted angrily, Little bastard, you dare to fight back? You're dead. I'm going to chop you up and feed you to the beasts. They wanted to kill me. Can I fight back? Lu Ming sneered. His eyes were cold as he walked towards Hua Jie. How ridiculous! He really didn't know what Hua Jie was thinking. Did he think that he was better than others and that he could humiliate others and take their lives without them fighting back? How ridiculous! What do you want? Hua Jie's face was extremely gloomy. The killing intent in his eyes was so dense that it couldn't be dispersed. He wanted to tear Lu Ming into pieces. What do I want? Don't you like to use other people's lives to feed your beasts? I really want to know what kind of expression you'll have when you become the food for that beast of yours. Lu Ming walked towards Hua Jie and said with a faint smile, How dare you? Don't you know who I am? If you dare to do this, I'll kill your entire family. Hua Jie shouted. Who are you? It's none of my business. Lu Ming replied calmly. So you don't know who I am? Let me tell you, I'm the son of the Sky Suppressing King. Do you know that my father is the Sky Suppressing King? If you kneel down and admit your mistake, you can still live. Hua Jie continued to shout. His eyes were filled with viciousness. So Lu Ming didn't know who he was. Now that he told him who he was, he believed that Lu Ming would be scared half to death. However, he was disappointed. Lu Ming didn't seem to have any intention of stopping. He didn't even bat an eyelid. It seemed like the name of the Sky Suppressing King didn't affect Lu Ming at all. Hua Jie's expression changed. It was extremely ugly and he was flustered. Hua Jie gritted his teeth and said, Fine, just you wait. I won't let you go. Let's go. Go. Did I say that you can go? Lu Ming said calmly. He moved and appeared in front of Hua Jie. Kid, don't be so shameless. I swear that if you dare to touch me today, I'll make sure you die a horrible death. Hua Jie roared. Is that so? Lu Ming sneered and said, All the more reason for me to try. Lu Ming's palm glowed red as he grabbed at Hua Jie. Stop, young man. Let me give you a piece of advice. My young master is not someone you can mess with. The 6 burly men rushed over again. One of them roared. You don't know what you're talking about. Sizzle, sizzle. Lu Ming used his finger as a spear and stabbed out. 6 streaks of spear light shot out. Bam, bam. The 6 burly men roared and tried their best to resist. However, it was useless. They were sent flying again and coughed up blood. Hua Jie's expression changed. Now no one can stop me. Lu Ming clawed at Hua Jie. Ah. Chapter 199. Ah. Hua Jie struggled madly. However, in Lu Ming's hands, he was like a little chick, unable to put up any resistance. Silence. At this moment, the air between heaven and earth seemed to have frozen. Everyone stared at Lu Ming in a daze. After knowing Hua Jie's identity, Lu Ming still dared to grab Hua Jie by the throat. Even the elites of the 5 major sects did not have the guts to do so. After all, they were an imperial city and the geniuses of the imperial family. Let go of young master. The 6 burly men ignored their injuries and rushed over. If you don't want him to die, go ahead. Lu Ming said. The 6 burly men stopped in their tracks. Lu Ming moved and appeared in front of the cracked armor beast. Roar! The cracked armor beast seemed to be afraid of Lu Ming and slowly retreated. Lu Ming flicked his finger and a spear radiance pierced through the cracked armor beast's scales, causing blood to flow. Roar! The cracked armor beast was injured and let out an angry roar. Its eyes were red and filled with a murderous aura. Come on! Lu Ming stretched out his hand and brought Hua Jie to the cracked armor beast's mouth. However, the cracked armor beast looked at Hua Jie and hesitated. It seemed to be afraid of Hua Jie. Lu Ming smiled and cut Hua Jie's arm. A stream of blood flew into the cracked armor beast's mouth. Roar! The cracked armor beast went crazy after being injured and having blood in its mouth. It opened its mouth and roared. Its eyes were filled with greed as it stared at Hua Jie. No, don't! Hua Jie screamed at the top of his lungs. He was scared out of his wits and his whole body was trembling. I'm sure many people have been eaten by your demon beasts. Now that your cracked armor beast has swallowed you, you deserve it. Lu Ming said indifferently. Everyone around them was shocked. They stared at the scene with their mouths agape. Lu Ming was too bold. He actually wanted the cracked armor beast to eat Hua Jia. Many people were cheering in their hearts. Hua Jia had committed all kinds of crimes in Imperial City because of his status, but no one dared to say anything. Because his father was Heavenly King Suppressor, given that he was known as Heaven Suppressing, one could imagine how powerful he was. Most importantly, Heavenly King Suppressor was very close to the Decimo sword sect. Roar! The splinter armor beast roared and lunged at Hua Jia with its mouth wide open. No! The 6 middle-aged men roared. Ah! Hua Jia let out an incomparably miserable scream. It was incomparably sorrowful and mournful. Hua Jia was so scared that he wet his pants. Lu Ming smiled faintly and retreated slightly, causing the cracked armor beast to miss. Ah! Hua Jia continued to scream. After a while, he realized that he was fine and stopped. Then he realized that the people around him were looking at him strangely. Their faces were all red. It was obvious that they wanted to laugh, but didn't dare to. At the same time, a foul stench wafted into Hua Jia's nose. In an instant, his face changed from pale to ashen and then to red. At this moment, he wished he could find a hole to crawl into. Ah, damn it, damn it! Hua Jia screamed madly in his heart. The young lord ordered his beast to devour others. I didn't know that he was so cowardly. Today I've learned something new. Ha ha ha. Lu Ming tossed Hua Jia aside casually. He did not even look at Hua Jia as he laughed and left. In fact, he didn't plan to kill Hua Jia from the beginning. He came to the imperial capital this time to investigate his father. If he killed Hua Jia, Heavenly King Suppressor would definitely go crazy, and it would be difficult for him to stay in the imperial capital. Now, he just wanted to teach Hua Jia a lesson. The grudge he had with Hua Jia was only between the younger generation. Heavenly King Suppressor wouldn't dare to interfere. At least on the surface, he wouldn't. If they were juniors, Lu Ming was not afraid of anyone. Damn it! I swear that I'll kill you no matter who you are. Hua Jia roared in his heart, but he didn't dare to say it out loud. He was afraid that Lu Ming would return. If any of you dare to tell anyone about what happened today, I'll kill his entire family. After Lu Ming walked far away, Hua Jia looked at the surrounding crowd and shouted angrily. Everyone despised him. This Hua Jia was a bully. He pissed his pants in front of Lu Ming. After Lu Ming left, he started to show off again. However, they weren't as bold as Lu Ming and could only nod their heads. Let's go! Hua Jia shouted and left in a hurry. He needed to find a place to change his pants. Lu Ming didn't look for a restaurant in this area. He planned to walk further and find a place to rest. Brother, please wait a moment. After walking for a while, a shout came from behind him. Lu Ming was curious. He stopped and turned around. Behind him, 2 people were striding towards him. One of them was a girl in her late teens. She was slightly older than Lu Ming and was very beautiful. The other was a young man in his mid-teens. He looked similar to the girl. He had red lips and white teeth. He was very handsome. Lu Ming's brows twitched slightly. He didn't know these 2 people. Why were they looking for him? Were they Hua Jia's men? Are you looking for me? Lu Ming asked. That's right. I'm Pearl. I admire you for teaching Hua Jia a lesson. That's why I wanted to get to know you. The girl cupped her fists. I'm Ming Peak, and I'm Ming Peak. What's your name, brother? It was so satisfying just now. I wanted to fight too, but my sister stopped me. The young man exclaimed. He seemed very lively. The 2 people's gazes were pure and harmless. They must be telling the truth. Lu Ming pondered for a moment and said, I'm Tian Yin. Tian Yin was Lu Yuntian's name in reverse. Since he had disguised himself, he naturally had to change his name. So, it's Brother Tian. You look young, but your cultivation is so profound that it's admirable. Moreover, you didn't fear Huajie and brazenly attacked him. I'm ashamed, Pearl said. You're too polite. It was just a small effort. It's nothing. Lu Ming smiled faintly. Brother Tianyin, you're too humble. I don't have that kind of cultivation. Otherwise, I would have taught that Huajie lesson. Ha ha ha, he actually pissed his pants just now. That was so fun. I'm sure it'll cause a sensation in Imperial Capital. Ming Peak laughed. He was very good at making connections. He directly called Brother Tianyin. Lu Ming didn't mind. He only smiled. Brother Tian, this should be your first time in Imperial Capital, right? Pearl asked. That's right. Lu Ming nodded. Ming Zhu nodded with an as-expected expression and continued. Brother Tian, although that Huajie is a hedonistic son and is not worth mentioning, his father is the suppressing heavenly king. You have to be careful. Sky suppressing king? Is he strong? Lu Ming asked. To be honest, he had never heard of the sky suppressing king before. Of course he's strong. A hint of fear flashed in Pearl's eyes. He said, the sky-suppressing king is the eldest brother of the current emperor. He has extremely profound cultivation and is in charge of more than half of the military power in the world. He's invincible. It's said that he has a special relationship with the Shifang sword sect. Oh, he's really a big shot. Chapter 200. Even if he knew what kind of person the heaven-suppressing king was, he would still do what he had to do. Seeing Lu Ming's calm expression, Pearl secretly admired him. Big Brother Tianyin, are you also here to join the Star General Hall? Ming Peak suddenly asked. Star General Hall. Lu Ming was taken aback. His face filled with confusion. That's right, the Star General Hall is a place created by the imperial family to gather the world's geniuses. Besides the 5 major sects, it is the place with the most geniuses in the Blazing Sun Empire. Ming Peak answered, There's such a place. Lu Ming's expression flickered. Brother Tian, if you're here for business and will leave soon, then it's fine. But if you plan to stay in the imperial capital for a long time, then I suggest you join the Star General Hall. The Star General Hall was created by the previous emperors of the Blazing Sun Empire and has been in use ever since. As long as you join the Star General Hall, the older generation, like the heaven-suppressing king, will have no reason to act. At most, only the younger generation will be able to act. Pearl explained. Then, Pearl explained a little about the Star General Hall. It was very simple. It was a place where the imperial family gathered the world's geniuses and trained generals. Thus, it was called the Star General Hall. Many of those who came out of the Star General Hall would become great generals. Lu Ming was tempted. Joining the Star General Hall might be a good choice. Joining the Star General Hall would at least give him a temporary place to stay. Moreover, the Star General Hall was an extremely important place in the imperial capital. He might be able to obtain some important information there. What are the requirements to join the Star General Hall? Lu Ming asked. There's almost no requirement. If there's a requirement, there's only one, and that is talent. As long as you have talent, the Star General Hall will accept you regardless of your identity, background, or cultivation. It doesn't matter if you're the son or daughter of a noble or a commoner. Pearl said. So lenient? Lu Ming was shocked and somewhat incredulous. Big Brother Tianyin, let me tell you something. There's a saying that the Scorching Sun royal family is unwilling to be controlled by the 10 Directions sword sect and wants to nurture their own faction. That's why they created the Star General Hall with such low conditions. Ming Peak whispered. Oh, Lu Ming fell into deep thought. It seemed that the relationship between the 10 Directions sword sect and the imperial family was rather subtle. Brother Tian, Star General Hall will open its doors to recruit a new batch of people every month. The day after tomorrow is Star General Hall's monthly recruitment. Brother Tian, you can go and give it a try. Pearl said. Big brother Tianyin, let me tell you, my sister is also a member of the Star General Hall. As for me, I will also be joining the Star General Hall the day after tomorrow. At that time, let's go together. Ming Peek shouted. All right. Lu Ming nodded. Brother Tian, take care. See you the day after tomorrow. Pearl cupped his fists and left with Ming Peek. After that, Lu Ming continued to wander around. After passing a few streets, he found an inn and checked in. In the blink of an eye, 2 days passed. During these 2 days, everything was calm and peaceful. Nothing much happened. 2 days later, Lu Ming walked out of the inn. The Star General Hall was very famous in the imperial capital. He found out the exact location of the Star General Hall after asking around. Lu Ming headed toward the Star General Hall. The Star General Hall was located in the northernmost part of the imperial capital. There were continuous mountains and numerous halls there, stretching as far as the eye could see. The entrance of the Star General Hall was very majestic. On both sides there were 2 bronze Qilin statues looking extraordinarily mighty. At the entrance, there were more than 10 burly men standing upright. Their bodies emitted a strong and ferocious aura. Obviously, they were all experts. Furthermore, they were martial grandmasters. There was a table in front of the entrance. A white-haired old man was registering. There were many people coming and going at the entrance. They were all old students of the Star General Hall. Those who joined the Star General Hall were called students. There were also some who, like Lu Ming, were new students who wanted to join the Star General Hall. Big brother Tianyin. Lu Ming heard a shout the moment he arrived. Ming Peek and Pearl walked over. Good morning. Lu Ming greeted them with a smile. Looks like there aren't many people here. Lu Ming swept his gaze and said with a smile. The Star General Hall recruits a new batch of people every month. Therefore, there aren't many people here. On average, there are about 100 people here every month. Pearl explained. Show me your bloodline. At that moment, a young man walked up to the old man. The old man said indifferently. Buzz. A blood-red light flashed on the young man's body and a tall brown bear appeared. 3 blood-red chakras flashed on the brown bear's body. 3rd grade bloodline, not bad. What's your name? The old man asked. Feng Wei, the young man replied. Then the old man took out a jade token and inscribed several inscriptions on it. He passed the jade token to the young man and said, All right, this is your identity jade token. From now on, you're a student of the Star General Hall. The young man was overjoyed. He took the jade token and walked into the Star General Hall. Lu Ming was dumbfounded. Isn't this procedure too simple? It's that simple. Pearl smiled. Then, won't there be disciples from the 5 major sects in the Star General Hall? Lu Ming asked curiously. Of course. There will be disciples from the 5 major sects. There are quite a number of them. Some of them specially came to join the Star General Hall. Some are here to cultivate. Some are here to gain experience. However, after joining the Star General Hall, there are certain measures in place. Pearl explained. Lu Ming was amazed. One by one, the young men went to register. Lu Ming noticed that as long as one's bloodline was at least 2nd grade, they could join the Star General Hall. Brett, it's you. Suddenly, a voice filled with murderous intent sounded. Lu Ming turned around and could not help but reveal a cold smile at the corners of his mouth. It was Hua Jia. Hua Jia had changed into a silver robe with a jade belt around his waist. He stared coldly at Lu Ming. Beside him, there were a few young men following behind him as they walked over. Brat, you dare to stay in the imperial capital and even want to join the Star General Hall. Just as well, you won't be leaving today. Hua Jia said darkly. Haha, isn't this the young prince? What a coincidence. You've changed your pants. Why do you still have a stench? Lu Ming's nose twitched as he said with a smile. You're courting death. Hua Jie's face instantly turned red as he shouted with a sinister expression. This was the greatest hatred in his heart. Although he had warned others not to speak of what happened 2 days ago, there was no such thing as an impenetrable wall. The news spread quickly, and in 2 days it had almost spread throughout the imperial capital. He had become a laughingstock. Hua Jie hated Lu Ming to the core. Now, Lu Ming still dared to mention this matter? Uft. Someone in the crowd couldn't help but laugh out loud. So he's the young man from 2 days ago? How dare he treat Hua Jie like that? Hua Jie probably hates him to the core. There's going to be a show to watch. Chun Xiong is beside Hua Jie. That brat is finished. Chapter 201. Little Prince, is this the kid? A tall young man beside Hua Jie looked at Lu Ming with hostility. That's the kid. I'll recognize him even if he turns into ashes. Hua Jie gritted his teeth. Hee, little prince. How do you want me to teach him a lesson? I'll teach him a lesson. Chan Xiong took a few steps forward and looked at Lu Ming mockingly. Do as you see fit. Break his arms and legs first. The rest is up to you. Hua Jie said in a deep voice. All right, I'll beat him until his mother can't recognize him. Chun Xiong sneered as a powerful aura emanated from his body. Peak 4th level martial master. Lu Ming's lips curled into a cold smile. He was merely a peak 4th level martial master, and yet he dared to be so arrogant. Chan Xiong, this is the general hall. Don't mess around. Ming Zhu's face was solemn as he stepped forward. Io, isn't this beautiful Pearl? Why? Do you want to help him? But do you think you can stop me? Get out of my way. Don't ask for trouble. Chun Xiong scolded. Pearl's expression changed and turned ugly. What are you being so arrogant for? At most we'll fight. Ming Peak shouted when he saw Pearl being bullied. You're just a kid whose hair hasn't even grown out. You're just an ant. You want to fight? I'll cripple you right now. Chun Xiong sneered and closed in on Ming Peak. Lu Ming smiled faintly and took a step forward. His gaze was calm as a powerful aura rose from his body. 4th level martial master aura. So you're a 4th level martial master. No wonder you can defeat the 6 experts under the little prince. No wonder you're so arrogant. But do you think you can fight me just because we're both 4th level martial masters? I'll let you know how naive you are. Chun Xiong's gaze flickered as he said in disdain. Then you can try. Lu Ming said indifferently. Boom! Their auras clashed and a gust of wind swept up. What are you doing? No fighting is allowed at the entrance of the general hall. Get out. Suddenly, the old man in charge of registration at the entrance of the Star General Hall let out a furious roar. An extremely powerful aura burst out and enveloped the entire area. Lu Ming's expression changed. This old man was definitely a martial ancestor realm expert. Elder, this person has a grudge with me. I'll cripple him and leave immediately. Hua Jie cupped his fists at the old man. Young prince, although you are of noble status, this is Star General Hall. Star General Hall has its own rules. Aside from His Majesty the Emperor, no one is allowed to break the rules of Star General Hall. You are no exception. The old man cupped his fists slightly, but he had no intention of backing down. You! Hua Jie's expression was ugly, but there was nothing he could do. The elders of the Star General Hall were directly under the Emperor. Even if his father, the Heavenly King Suppression, was here, the elders of the Star General Hall might not give him face. Humph, brat, consider yourself lucky. However, your luck will only last for 3 days. Let's see how you'll die in 3 days. Hua Jie stared coldly at Lu Ming. Let's go. Then Hua Jie waved his hand and strode into the Star General Hall. Chun Xiong glanced coldly at Lu Ming, sneered and followed Hua Jie. All right, continue. The old man waved his hand and said, there were not many people in the hall to begin with. Soon it was Ming Peak's turn. After Ming Peak, it was Lu Ming's turn. Condense your bloodline and let me see. The old man glanced indifferently at Lu Ming. All right. Lu Ming nodded. Then there was a flash of blood-red light on his body. The spirit-devouring bloodline was condensed. At the same time, his 6 blood-red chakras shone brightly. Level 6 bloodline. The old man's eyes suddenly emitted an intense light, like 2 suns. On the side, Pearl, Ming Peak, and a few others looked at Lu Ming in shock. Level 6 bloodline. It was actually a level 6 bloodline. One should know that in the 5 major sects, those with a level 6 bloodline were top-notch geniuses and newcomers. At most, there would be 1 or 2 in a year. The old man's eyes flickered, and he suddenly asked, "Which of the 5 major sects do you belong to?" Lu Ming was taken aback. He smiled bitterly in his heart. It seemed that the old man was suspicious because his bloodline was too high. However, the appearance of his chakras was not under his control. Otherwise, he would have shown 3 chakras, and it would not be too eye-catching. I don't belong to any of the 5 major sections. I'm just a rogue cultivator. Lu Ming cupped his fists and said, he was not lying. He was indeed a rogue cultivator. Oh! The old man's eyes flickered. Obviously, he did not believe him. What's your name? The old man asked. Tianyin. Lu Ming replied. Then the old man took out a jade token and engraved a few inscriptions on it. He handed the jade token to Lu Ming and said, 3 days later there will be a test at the martial arts field. Okay. Lu Ming took the jade token and nodded. Big brother Tianyin, where's your room? After Lu Ming registered, Ming Peak came up and asked. Lu Ming took the jade token and injected his true qi into it. Immediately, some information appeared. Outer hall, room 11,232. Lu Ming said, Haha, then we're together. I'm in room 11231, and my sister is not far from us. She's in room 11186. Ming Peak was overjoyed. Lu Ming nodded, but his heart skipped a beat. Martial artists must have their own rooms. There were more than 10,000 people in the Hall of General. There must be at least 10,000 people in the Hall of General. But it was normal when he thought about it. The Hall of General recruited a group of people every month. Even if it was not a lot each time, it would accumulate over the years. Lu Ming, you have to be careful in 3 days. At this moment, Pearl warned with a serious expression. Lu Ming's expression changed. That elder had told everyone who joined that there would be a test at the martial arts field 3 days later. Moreover, Hua Jie had also said that Lu Ming's luck was good. It would only be 3 days. 3 days later, let's see how he'll die. He was very curious about this. What exactly is going on with the test 3 days later? Lu Ming asked. Ming Zhu pondered for a moment and said, Brother Tian, you also know that when the Star General Hall recruits people, they don't ask about their background or background. They take in anyone. There are definitely all sorts of people in there. Of course the Hall of General won't do nothing. Thus, the students who have just joined the Hall of General will be tested 3 days later. The test is actually very simple. The old students will spar with the new students. On the surface, it's a spar, but in reality, it's to test the new students. If they are disciples of the 5 great sects, they will definitely not receive any training in the future. Pearl explained in detail. So that's how it is. Lu Ming nodded his head. If that's the case, Hua Jie and the others were planning to tamper with the test in 3 days. Therefore, Brother Tian, you have to be careful in 3 days. Normally, the old students will be selected by the elders of the Hall of General. However, with Hua Jie's influence, it won't be difficult for him to tamper with the test. Pearl continued, If they want to come, then let them come. Lu Ming smiled, not minding it at all. Brother Tian, don't be careless. Chun Xiong is a top genius. Although his cultivation is only at the peak of the 4th layer of the Martial Master Realm, he once killed a 5th layer Martial Master Realm expert with a single slash. He is incomparably powerful and is not someone ordinary cultivators can compare to. Pearl continued, Genius? Isn't that more interesting? Lu Ming was still smiling faintly. Chapter 202. The Star General Hall was really huge. It was like a small world inside. Mountains, rivers, historical sites, and scenic spots were everywhere, especially the halls and pavilions. They were densely packed and stacked on top of each other. The dormitories in the Star General Hall were filled with pavilions. They were all 7 floors high and had rooms. Lu Ming's room was on the 3rd floor. There was a metal plate hanging on the door with the number 11232. Ming Peek's room was right next to his. He took out his identity, jade, token, and shone it at the metal plate. The metal plate glowed and the door opened automatically. Lu Ming walked in. The room was spacious and elegantly decorated. There was even a bookshelf at the side of the room. The bookshelf was filled with brand new books. The treatment in the Star General Hall is better than in the Mystic Essence Sword Sect. Although the imperial family has declined, they are still legitimate and have a strong foundation. Lu Ming thought to himself. Soon there was a knock on the door. When he opened it, it was Pearl and Ming Peek. Brother Tian, you just joined the Star General Hall. Let me show you around. Ming Zhu smiled sweetly. Lu Ming nodded. He wanted to familiarize himself with the place. Lu Ming, Pearl, and Ming Peek walked around the Star General Hall. They chatted as they walked. During this time, Lu Ming found out that Pearl and Ming Peek were the sons and daughters of a general in the Blazing Sun Empire. Their father guarded the borders and fought wars all year round. As his sons and daughters, they naturally joined the Star General Hall and could become great generals in the future. The 3 of them chatted as they walked and slowly became closer. A few hours later, Lu Ming returned to his room and entered the Temple of Paragon. With a wave of his hand, a secret manual appeared in his hand. 3 Dao Palms was one of the 2 Earth rank martial techniques that Lu Ming had obtained from the Dongi tribe's ruins. He did not have the energy to cultivate it before, but now that he had cultivated the airborne steps to the highest level, he could finally cultivate the 3 Dao Palms. Lu Ming opened the 3 Dao Palms manual and carefully read it. After a long time, Lu Ming closed the secret manual, his face revealing a look of amazement. The 3 Palms was a completely offensive martial skill, and its power was beyond his imagination. 3 palms, in fact, there were only 3 palms in total. The first palm was the human Dao Palm. The second palm was the beast Dao Palm. The third palm was the heavenly law palm. According to the introduction, the power of the first palm, the human Dao Palm, was already equivalent to the power of other Earth-level martial skills. The power of the second palm had completely exceeded the power of a low-grade Earth-rank martial skill. It was infinitely close to a high-grade Earth-rank martial skill. As for the third palm, the Heaven's Path Palm, it was said that when cultivated to the highest level, its might would be infinitely close to a Heaven-tier martial skill. It was infinitely close to a Heaven-tier martial skill. Seeing this, Lu Ming's heart fiercely twitched. What kind of concept was a Tian-tier martial skill? It was much stronger than an Earth-tier martial skill. It was incomparably terrifying. It was a martial skill that only kings were qualified to cultivate. The reason why the 3 Dao Palms was classified as a low-grade Earth-tier martial skill was because very few people in history were able to successfully cultivate the third palm. It was too difficult. Having it was equivalent to not having it, so the 3 Dao Palms was classified as a low-grade Earth-tier martial skill. Only by cultivating the first palm to the 3rd level could one cultivate the second palm. And to cultivate the third palm, no one knew what conditions one had to meet. It all depended on one's luck. Lu Ming carefully comprehended it, then took out the 3 Dao Palms secret manual and carefully read it again. The difficulty of cultivating the 3 Dao Palms was even more difficult than the ancient shield technique. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. In 3 days, there was no progress in the 3 Dao Palms. At this time, it was time for the new students' test. Pearl and Ming Peek found Lu Ming early in the morning and walked with Lu Ming to the martial arts field. The martial arts field was very vast. It was said that it was the place where the emperor reviewed the troops. It was impossible to see the end of it. On one side of the martial arts field, there were more than 10 fighting stages. At this time, there were already hundreds of people gathered around one of the fighting stages. More than 100 of them were new students who had just joined this time. The rest were old students. Some were here to watch the show, and some were here to participate in the test. As soon as Lu Ming arrived, he saw a few cold eyes staring at him. It was Hua Jia, Chun Xiong, and the others. Beside Hua Jia, there were more than 10 young men. They were here as expected. Lu Ming smiled faintly and could not be bothered with them. This kid is so calm now. Let's see how he'll die later. That's right. He's lucky to be alive today after offending the young prince. But it'll end here. The other young men beside Hua Jia sneered. Hua Jia's lips curled into a cold, murderous intent. He said, Chun Xiong later. You just have to be ruthless and blame the Star Hall. I'll take responsibility. Don't worry, young prince. I know what to do. Chun Xiong sneered. After a while, the number of people gradually increased. In the end, there were about 500 people. At this time, a middle-aged elder went up to the fighting stage. The test this time is very simple. I will send out the old students to spar with the new students. The new students need not have any misgivings and can display your strength to your heart's content. If you are able to last 100 moves against the old students, the Star General Hall will give you a generous reward. If you are able to defeat the old students, the 7 great cultivation sacred grounds of the Star General Hall, with the exception of the Earth Yuan Cave, the other 6 sacred grounds will be able to cultivate for a year free of charge. The middle-aged elder announced. As soon as he said that, the eyes of many new students lit up. 7 sacred grounds? Lu Ming was a little confused. Obviously, he had never heard of it. Brother Tian, the 7 sacred grounds are unique to the Star General Hall. It's very mysterious. After the test, I'll explain it to you in detail. Pearl said softly. All right, let's begin. The first one is Wu Yuan, the middle-aged elder announced. As soon as he said that, a skinny young man went up to the fighting stage. Dukan, go up and test him. The middle-aged elder instructed an old student. Yes, an old student in a red robe went up. Without saying anything, the battle began. The new student, Wu Yuan, launched a crazy attack. The saber in his hand turned into a rolling saber light as he attacked Dukan. However, Dukan had a smile on his face. He was calm and did not fight back. Instead, he kept dodging. Lu Ming's eyes flashed. He could tell that Dukan's cultivation was definitely above the martial grandmaster realm. On the other hand, Wu Yuan was only a 6th grade martial master. The difference was too big. If Dukan really attacked, half a move would be enough to take Wu Yuan's life. However, Dukan did not attack. Lu Ming's heart suddenly skipped a beat. He raised his head and looked at the sky on his right. In the sky, on top of a cloud, a few old men were watching the fighting stage with bright eyes. There are indeed experts observing in the dark. It seems like the Star General Hall is not simple. Could it be that the rumors are true? That the Star General Hall is used by the royal family to nurture their own forces in an attempt to fight against the Shifeng sword faction? But it's so obvious. The Shifeng sword faction must know about it. Lu Ming pondered, full of doubts. At this moment, the few old men on the cloud were seriously watching the battle on the fighting stage. The saber light is rolling. This is the Lone Peak's 30 sabers. This Wu Yuan should be from Lone Peak City. There's no problem, an old man said. It's a pity that his cultivation is too weak and his talent is ordinary. Another old man sighed. There's nothing we can do. Most of the talented ones have been recruited by the 5 major sections. Let's just watch. Chapter 203. Soon, 50 to 60 moves had passed on the fighting stage. Let's end this. Dukan shouted and punched out. Wu Yuan was directly blasted off the battle stage. Continue the second round, Go Wei. The middle-aged elder announced again. The tests continued one after another. However, the strength of the new students was mixed. Some of them were only in the martial soldier realm and could not last more than 100 moves against the old students. Of course, there were exceptions. There was a person whose cultivation had reached the third layer of the martial Grandmaster realm. He directly defeated an old student and attracted a lot of attention. Soon it was Ming Peak's turn. However, Ming Peak's cultivation was only in the 6th level martial master realm. It was not bad for his age, but it was impossible for him to be a match for the old student. The old student purposely went easy on Ming Peak for more than 50 moves and then defeated him. Next, Tianyin. The middle-aged elder announced. Lu Ming's expression changed, and he stepped onto the fighting stage. Chen Xiong, come up and take the test. The middle-aged elder shouted. Chen Xiong, as expected. Lu Ming's eyes moved, and he sneered. It's really Chen Xiong. It can't be so coincidental. He must have done something, or this elder was bribed. Pearl whispered. Isn't this too hateful? Why don't we ask Brother Tianyin to give up the test? Ming Peak said. No, if he gives up the test, he can't stay in the Star General Hall. Pearl said. Then what should we do? Sister, is that Chen Xiong really that powerful? No matter what, Brother Tianyin is still in the 4th level martial master realm. Ming Peak said anxiously. Pearl sighed and said, Of course Chen Xiong is strong. Ordinary 5th level martial masters were killed by him in one move. It is said that no less than 3 5th level martial masters have died in his hands. If he's that powerful, what should we do? Ming Peak was even more anxious. There's no other way. We can only rely on Tianyun's luck. Pearl sighed. Ha ha ha. On the other side, Chen Xiong laughed heartily and stepped onto the battle stage, standing in front of Lu Ming. Below the stage, Hua Jie sneered. Brat, your name is Tianyin, right? You've given me 3 more days to live. Now accept your fate. Hua Jie, you haven't fought for a few days. Are your bones itching again? Or do you want to pee in your pants again? Lu Ming glanced at Hua Jie and shouted. His voice spread far and wide. Hua Jie almost spat out a mouthful of blood. Lu Ming was really too abominable. He was simply poking at Hua Jie's sore spot. Hua Jie's face was flushed red. He glared at Lu Ming and roared. Little bastard, go ahead and scream. This is your last chance. I'll let you have your fill. After all, you're about to die. Hee hee. Lu Ming responded with a sneer. He was too lazy to deal with Hua Jie, this mad dog. Clang! At this moment, Chen Xiong unsheathed his long sword. A bright, blood-red sword chi soared into the sky. Tianyin, I once used this sword to kill an expert of the 5th level of the martial master realm. It is your honor to be able to die under my sword, Chen Xiong said loudly. His face was full of pride. You killed a 5th grade martial master expert with a single sword. You're shameless enough to brag about it. Don't you find it embarrassing? Lu Ming curled his lips and said indifferently. As soon as these words came out, the surrounding crowd staggered and almost fell. They looked at Lu Ming speechlessly. Embarrassing? As a 4th level martial master, he had killed a 5th level martial master expert with one sword. In Lu Ming's eyes, this was a broken record and embarrassing. This was a battle that surpassed one's level. Moreover, it was in the martial master realm. To be able to kill an opponent in the martial master realm, one must be a top genius. Bragging, he must be bragging. Almost everyone thought that Lu Ming was bragging. Even Pearl and Ming Peak looked at each other. Bragging, bragging. Since you're about to die, I'll let you brag to your heart's content. Hua Jie laughed loudly. However, Chen Xiong's face was extremely ugly. The battle that he had always been proud of was actually so unbearable in Lu Ming's eyes. Whether or not Chen Xiong was bragging, in his eyes it was an insult to him. Tianyan, wait a moment. I hope you can still say it. Chen Xiong's voice was extremely cold. He pointed his long sword, and a surging sword qi rushed towards Lu Ming. Kill! Chen Xiong shouted. His killing intent soared to the heavens. Man and sword became one, turning into a blood-red sword qi and slashing towards Lu Ming. The sword qi whistled, as if it could cut the space in half. Its power was extremely shocking. How was this a test or a spar? This was blatantly trying to kill Lu Ming. Oh no! Pearl and Ming Peek's faces changed dramatically. As for Hua Jia, he sneered and thought, "Boy, it's really too easy for you to die like this." In the fighting ring, Lu Ming's face was calm. Looking at the incoming sword qi, a murderous intent flashed in his eyes. He did not take out a weapon. Instead, he waved his hand and a red spear appeared in his hand. Chasing thunder. Whoosh! The red spear qi flashed by. Fast, too fast, unbelievably fast. Most people did not even see it clearly. Only a few old men in the clouds were shocked. Bang! In the fighting ring, two rays of light collided. However, Chen Xiong's sword qi was like a layer of bubbles that burst upon contact. Then, the spear qi continued to flash and disappeared. The spear quickly disappeared. In the fighting ring, two figures stood facing each other. Who won? Everyone stared with their eyes wide open. Puff! Suddenly, a stream of blood spurted out from Chen Xiong's throat. Chen Xiong screamed and covered his throat with his hands. His eyes were as wide as a dead fish's as he stared at Lu Ming in disbelief. I've said it before. It's really embarrassing to talk about your lousy battle record. Lu Ming said indifferently. You! Chen Xiong's eyes were filled with fear and unwillingness. Then he fell to the ground and stopped breathing. The surrounding students of the Star General Hall were all dumbfounded as they watched on. One move to kill a top genius, Chen Xiong. Moreover, Lu Ming did not even use a weapon. He merely condensed a long spear with his true qi and killed Chen Xiong with a casual move. What kind of strength is this? Isn't he too strong? Chen Xiong did not even have the strength to fight back in front of him. Genius, a peerless genius. Many people shouted in their hearts. So strong, this young man is not simple. In the clouds, an old man said. Could he be a genius from the 5 major sects? It's hard to say. I really hope he is not a disciple of the 5 major sections. Investigate thoroughly. If he is not from the 5 major sects, we must try our best to rope him in. A few old men looked at Lu Ming with bright eyes. Below the fighting ring, Hua Jia stared at the scene with his mouth agape. After a while, he came to his senses and roared furiously. Tianyan, how dare you kill Chen Xiong? How dare you kill him? You will pay with your life. Pay with my life? Ridiculous! Chen Xiong was the one who said he wanted to kill me. Now that I killed him, he deserved it. Moreover, the elders did not say that killing is forbidden. Chapter 204. On the battle platform, the middle-aged elder's expression darkened, but he didn't say anything. He was indeed bribed by Hua Jia, but he knew that there were a few big shots watching from the clouds. He didn't dare to go overboard. Hua Jia was stunned. He couldn't refute Lu Ming's words. How about this, Hua Jia? I'll give you a chance. All of you can come at me together. Lu Ming said indifferently. What? There was an uproar. Lu Ming actually wanted all of Hua Jia's people to come at him together? This was too arrogant. One must know that all of Hua Jia's people were geniuses. They were the children of many big shots in the imperial capital. Their combat strength was very strong. Some of them were even stronger than Chen Xiong. No matter how strong Lu Ming was, how could he be a match for so many experts? Crazy. Crazy. What? You want to challenge so many of us? Even Hua Jia was stunned for a moment before he reacted. He was overjoyed and hurriedly shouted, "All right, this is what you said. Don't go back on your words." At the same time, he was laughing in his heart. He was laughing at Lu Ming for courting death. On the battle platform, the middle-aged elder was a little stunned. This was the first time he had seen such a scene during a test. For a moment, he didn't know whether to agree or not. At this moment, a voice transmission was transmitted to his ears, asking him to agree. It was from an elder above the clouds. They also wanted to take this opportunity to observe Lu Ming. "All right, this battle can be carried out," the middle-aged elder announced. "Go." Hua Jia hurriedly waved his hand. Over 10 young men beside him rushed up the battle platform. "Brat, do you think you can be so arrogant after defeating Qin Xiao? How naive! You actually challenged so many of us at once. You're simply courting death. If I don't beat him up, my surname isn't Wang." These young men stared at Lu Ming with hostility and sneered. Lu Ming actually challenged so many of them at once. It was obvious that he was looking down on them. This was an insult. They wanted to make Lu Ming regret it. "Cut the crap. If you want to fight, do it quickly. If not, scram," Lu Ming berated. "Damn it, you're courting death. Kill him." Over 10 young men let out angry roars and emitted powerful auras. Boom! 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 Blood-red light flashed as the bloodlines of more than a dozen youths burst out at the same time. The terrifying attack was like a never-ending wave that surged towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming was instantly drowned out by the multicolored brilliance. Everyone stared with wide eyes. Lu Ming was so arrogant. They wanted to see how Lu Ming would fight with more than 10 young geniuses. At this moment, Lu Ming made his move. Just like before, Zhang Xian didn't even need to use a weapon. Instead, a spear materialized in his hand. Whoosh! The long spear swept out in a very direct and violent manner. A full moon appeared on the battle platform. Bang! Bang! A loud explosion could be heard as the attacks launched by the young men were shattered instantly. A terrifying spear glow swept across the surroundings. Ah! Ah! More than a dozen screams rang out as more than a dozen figures were sent flying off the stage, coughing up large mouthfuls of blood. The air seemed to have frozen at this moment. Everyone stared blankly at the scene. One move, just one move, and all the young geniuses brought by Hua Jia were defeated. It was so easy as if he was swatting a dozen flies. What a waste of time. Lu Ming curled his lips and said. Everyone was speechless and roared in their hearts. "What do you mean by a waste of time? You're too abnormal. Even if you want to defeat someone, you shouldn't do it like that." Hua Jia's body trembled. His face was pale and his lips were trembling. He pointed at Lu Ming and said, You! He stuttered for a long time, but couldn't say a word. Strong, too strong. Brother Tianyin is too strong. Ming Peak kept muttering, his face full of excitement. By the side, Ming Zhu's beautiful eyes flashed with splendor. Lu Ming's strength was completely beyond her expectations. Phew! Phew! Above the clouds, several old men let out a long sigh, their eyes flickering with uncertainty. How is it? Can you tell where they came from? One of the old men asked. I can't tell. It was just one move, and most of them were defeated with absolute strength. Very little information was exposed. What's more, he probably used his own personal martial arts technique. There's no trace of the 5 biggest sections. Another old man said, This is difficult. Is such a peerless genius from the 5 great sects or not? Pay attention. We must pay attention to him. If he's from the 5 biggest sects, he just wants to cultivate in the sacred ground and won't stay for long. If he's not, we must rope him in. The old men discussed quickly. Elder, is my test over? Lu Ming asked the middle-aged man. Yes, it's over. The middle-aged man stammered. Lu Ming nodded and jumped down from the fighting ring. Hua Jia glared at Lu Ming with resentment. He left with more than 10 young men who were staggering. They were in a sorry state. Hua Jia came with a high profile and left with a face full of dust. He would become a laughingstock once again. Lu Ming smiled faintly. As long as the older generation did not appear, he did not care about a foppish young master like Hua Jia. Then the test continued. However, no one who stood out appeared. Soon, all the tests were over. The middle-aged man marked each new student's identity, jade, token. Ha, I can finally cultivate in the 7 sacred grounds. Ming Peak laughed. Ming Peak, are the 7 sacred grounds really that good? Lu Ming asked curiously. Good, of course it's good. Brother Tianyin, do you know why the 5 biggest sect's disciples sneaked in? They want to cultivate in the 7 sacred grounds of the Hall of General, Ming Peak said with glowing eyes. Brother Tian, the 7 sacred grounds of the Hall of General are the most important places for the imperial family. It is said that the omnidirectional sword sect covets it, but the imperial family has a tight grip on it. It can be said that the 7 sacred grounds are the foundation of the imperial family, and they will not give it to others. Pearl explained. Yes, Brother Tianyin, you defeated the older students this time. Apart from the Earth Essence Cave, you can choose any of the other 6 sacred grounds and cultivate for free for a year. I'm so envious, Ming Peak exclaimed. I wonder what the 7 great cultivation sanctuaries are, Lu Ming asked. Let me tell you. Ming Feng immediately rushed to say, the 7 great cultivation holy grounds are respectively the Earth Essence Cave, Gungjin Valley, Divine Wind Valley, Unending Tower, 10,000 Kill Secret Realm, Fog Swamp, and Lightning Light Hall. Among them, the most mysterious one is the Earth Essence Cave. The Earth Essence Cave contains rich fire spiritual chi that can condense true chi. In the Earth Essence Cave, whether it is to raise one's cultivation or to cultivate fire attribute martial skills, it will be twice the result with half the effort. The Gungjin Valley contains rich Gungjin chi and is the best place to cultivate metal attribute martial skills and martial skills. The Divine Wind Valley is filled with gales and hurricanes and is the best place to cultivate wind attribute martial skills. Chapter 205. It's so magical. There was a glint in Lu Ming's eyes. He was very interested. Mystic Essence Sword Sect did not have many places like this. Lu Ming only knew of the Phoenix Perch Cave in the Vermilion Bird Courtyard. The royal family that ruled the Blazing Sun Empire had strong foundation. Brother Tianyin, which one do you want to go to first? Ming Peak asked. Lu Ming pondered for a moment and said, the Earth Essence Cave. Sure, I want to go too. Let's go together. Ming Peak was overjoyed. Lu Ming nodded. The 2 of you can go to the Earth Essence Cave. I'm going to the Fog Swamp to cultivate a martial technique. I won't be going with you. Pearl smiled. Sister, hurry up and go. Ming Peak urged. You brat, you've just arrived at the Star General Hall. Don't cause trouble. Pearl glared at Ming Peak and left. Brother Tianyin, let's go to the Earth Essence Cave together. Ming Peak shouted excitedly. They could find the way to the Earth Essence Cave just by asking any senior student. The 2 of them passed through many halls and arrived at a mountain peak. There was a huge stone wall at the foot of the mountain. There was a stone door on the wall, and 2 middle-aged men were guarding the door. The 2 middle-aged men were just casually standing there, but their bodies were emitting waves of ocean-like aura, unfathomable. What a strong cultivation. They're definitely martial ancestor realm experts. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. Everyone said that the royal family had declined. However, it seemed that their strength was not to be underestimated. A martial ancestor realm expert in the mystic essence sword sect would be a silver-robed elder. Senior, we're going to the Earth Essence Cave to cultivate. Ming Peek walked to one of the men and bowed respectfully. Identity Jade token. Let me take a look, the man said expressionlessly. Lu Ming and Ming Peek took out their Identity Jade cards and handed them over to the big man. The big man took a look at it and nodded. You can go in. First, exchange for the inscription stones. Only with the inscription stones can you open the secret training room in the Earth Essence Cave. All right, thank you, Senior. Ming Peek nodded and took out the spiritual crystals. Lu Ming also took out spirit crystals. On the way here, Ming Peek had already explained the situation of the Duan Cave to Lu Ming in detail. From top to bottom, the imperial family had dug out 13 layers of the earthen cave. On every floor, there were cultivation chambers that were filled with fire-attributed spiritual energy. Regardless of whether it was to raise one's cultivation, refine one's jinchi, or cultivate fire-attributed martial techniques, they were all extremely useful. The further down he went, the denser the spiritual qi was and the better the effects. However, it was impossible for them to let people cultivate there for free. Inscriptions were carved into every secret room. Only the imperial family's inscription stones could open the secret rooms and allow people to cultivate there. The inscription stone cost 30 spiritual crystals. Of course, the further down he went, the more inscription stones he would need. How many inscription stones do you want? The middle-aged man asked Ming Peek. 1 piece is enough. Ming Peek said, on the first floor of the Earth Essence Cave, 1 inscription stone was enough to open a secret training room and cultivate there for a month. Ming Peek took out 30 spiritual crystals and handed them to the middle-aged man. Then, the middle-aged man handed Ming Peek a fiery red stone that was engraved with inscriptions. How about you? How many inscription stones do you want? The middle-aged man asked. Let's exchange for 100 first. Lu Ming said casually. Ah, what? 100? The 2 middle-aged men were shocked. Ming Peek also widened his eyes. 100 inscription stones would cost 3,000 spiritual crystals, which was equivalent to 30 million taels of silver. Lu Ming was so young. How could he have so many spiritual crystals? Lu Ming smiled. His fingers glowed and a jade box appeared. Rows of spiritual crystals were neatly stacked in it. Lu Ming took out 3,000 spiritual crystals and handed them to the middle-aged man. The middle-aged man took them and then took out 100 inscription stones and handed them to Lu Ming. Go in and cultivate. The 2 middle-aged men finally smiled. The stone door opened and Lu Ming and Ming Peek walked in. As soon as they entered, they could feel the rich spiritual qi of the fire attribute. After walking for about 100 meters, a huge underground cave appeared. The surroundings were neat and tidy. It was obvious that it was man-made. There were secret training rooms around the cave. The doors of the secret rooms were closed. Some of the doors were shining faintly, which meant that someone was cultivating inside. Those that were not shining on the doors meant that no one was cultivating inside. In the middle was a cave entrance. As they walked in, they saw a spiral staircase below the cave entrance. This was the first floor. If they went further down, they would reach the second floor. Brother Tianyin, which floor are you going to cultivate on? I'll cultivate here, Ming Feng said, his voice faintly revealing a look of envy. The spiritual qi of heaven and earth here is not very rich. Let's go down, Lu Ming said. Go down? But my inscription stones. Don't I have them here? I haven't thanked you for telling me so much. Let's go down together. I'll treat you. Lu Ming smiled. Treat me? Really? Then I won't stand on ceremony. Ming Peek was overjoyed and did not stand on ceremony at all. Ming Feng's youthful temperament was genuine, and he did not beat around the bush. He took the lead and went to the second floor. The space of the second floor was not smaller than the first floor. The layout was almost the same as the first floor. However, The spiritual chi of heaven and earth was richer. Lu Ming could almost feel the blazing spiritual chi of heaven and earth wrapping around his body, as if it was going to drill into his body. The Earth Essence Cave is indeed worthy of its reputation. This is the outside of the secret room. If I cultivate in the secret room, my cultivation will probably improve 10 times faster than outside. Moreover, it will definitely be very useful to cultivate fire-based martial arts. Even the comprehension of fire force will be very useful. I made the right choice to come today. Moreover, this is only the second floor, and the spiritual chi of heaven and earth essence is so rich. It is said that there are 13 floors in the Earth Essence Cave. I wonder what it will be like if I go all the way down. Lu Ming thought to himself, Brother Tianyin, in this floor you will need 3 inscription stones to cultivate in a secret room for a month. Ming Peek said, Let's continue. Lu Ming smiled and went to the 3rd floor. Ming Peek hurried to follow. On the 3rd floor, the spiritual chi of heaven and earth was even richer. On this floor, Lu Ming's eyes moved because he saw 5 or 6 young men sitting cross-legged in the middle of the floor. Although the spiritual chi of heaven and earth was rich in the open space outside, it could not be compared to the secret room. What were these people doing sitting outside? Ming Peek seemed to have thought of something, and his face changed. He whispered to Lu Ming, I heard from my sister that in the Earth Essence Cave, some people don't have spiritual crystals to exchange for inscription stones, so they specialize in robbing other people's secret rooms. When someone opens a secret room, they will rob it. Oh, Lu Ming nodded. Chapter 206. Then he scanned the room. There were more than 20 secret rooms around him. More than 10 of them were lit up. It was obvious that someone was cultivating in them. 6 of them were dimmed. Lu Ming looked around and walked towards a secret room. The 6 young men sitting in the middle saw Lu Ming walking towards a secret room, and their eyes lit up. I've never seen this kid before. He's probably a hothead. Could it be that he just arrived? Haha, I've waited for a few days. Finally, someone is here to open the secret room. I'm going to snatch it. The 6 young men all thought in their hearts. Big Brother Tianyin. Ming Peek was a little nervous as he followed behind Lu Ming. After all, those who dared to snatch someone else's secret room were definitely ruthless people. Lu Ming didn't care and took out 9 inscription stones. The secret room on the 3rd floor required 9 inscription stones to open. There were a few pits on the stone door. Lu Ming placed the 9 inscription stones into the pit. The stone door instantly shone. Then there was a creaking sound and the stone door opened. Haha, this secret room is mine. In your dreams, I'm the first one here. I've been here for 7 days. This secret room is mine. You're the first one here? In your dreams, the secret room belongs to the strong. Get out of here immediately. When the door of the secret room opened, the 6 young men all stood up and shouted. They all wanted to take the secret room for themselves. As for Lu Ming's thoughts, they directly ignored them. Who would care about someone who looked like he had just arrived? Clang! Clang! The sound of weapons being unsheathed rang out. The 6 of them actually drew their weapons and confronted each other. You want to fight with me? You're courting death. Boom! At this moment, the aura of one of the pockmarked young men burst out. Judging from his aura, he had actually reached the 4th level martial master realm. The other 5 young men's faces instantly changed. Pockmarked Lu, you actually broke through to the 4th level martial master realm? When did this happen? One of the young men shouted in shock. Ha ha ha, you didn't expect it, did you? I've already broken through. Let's see how you're going to compete with me. Now get the hell out of here. I need this chamber to consolidate my cultivation base. Lu Matzi shouted coldly, and his powerful aura surged violently in the cave. The other 5 had ugly expressions on their faces, but they didn't dare to refute. Most of them were in the 2nd or 3rd layer of the martial Grand Master Realm. They were not a match for the 4th layer of the martial Grandmaster realm. Damn it, I've waited for 7 days and finally found a hothead. Looks like I've waited for nothing. A tall young man shouted in a low voice, extremely displeased. He helplessly retreated and stood to the side. The others fell silent for a moment before retreating one after another. Ha ha ha. Pockmarked, Lu laughed loudly, looking majestic and proud. Then he turned to Lu Ming and said, "Boy, I want your secret room. Also, if you have any inscription stones, hand them all over and get lost. I'm in a good mood today, so I won't make things difficult for you." 4th layer Martial Grandmaster? When pockmarked Lu revealed his cultivation base, Ming Peak didn't feel nervous anymore. He muttered and looked at pockmarked Lu with a strange expression. Lu Ming had easily defeated a group of geniuses in the 3rd or 4th layer of the Martial Grandmaster realm with one move. Pockmarked Lu was nothing to him. Ming Peak had already started to mourn for pockmarked Lu in his heart. How pitiful! Looking at pockmarked Lu's arrogant expression, Ming Peak muttered in his heart, "Are you sure you want to do this? Don't you want to think about it?" Lu Ming looked at pockmarked Lu and said with a smile that wasn't a smile, "Nonsense. What's there to think about? Stop talking nonsense and wasting my time." Pockmarked Lu shouted, "Since that's the case, fine. Hand over your storage ring and scram." Lu Ming said indifferently, "Ah, what did you say?" Pockmarked Lu was stunned, thinking that he had misheard. "Hurry up, I don't want to repeat myself," Lu Ming said. "Ha ha ha, kid, you still want my storage ring? I think you're crazy. Let me cure you." Pockmarked Lu burst out laughing. He took a step forward and threw a punch at Lu Ming. Bang! Following that, the others heard a loud explosion. Then they saw a figure flying backward and landing heavily on the ground, screaming in agony. It was pockmarked Lu. The other 5 young men were stunned. Pockmarked Lu was defeated. Most importantly, he was defeated too quickly. They didn't even see how he was defeated. Whoosh! Lu Ming moved like a ghost and appeared in front of pockmarked Lu. He stepped on pockmarked Lu's face, causing it to fall heavily to the ground. Pockmarked Lu screamed in agony. The other 5 young men felt a chill down their spines and a toothache. An expert, so this is a peerless expert. Luckily, I didn't make a move just now. It's all pockmarked Lu's fault. If it weren't for him, I would be the one suffering. I have to thank pockmarked Lu. The other 5 young men were secretly relieved. Their palms were sweating. "Now, hand over your storage ring." Lu Ming looked down at pockmarked Lu and said indifferently, "Yes, I'll hand it over." Pockmarked Lu screamed and handed the storage ring to Lu Ming with trembling hands. He wanted to die. He thought that he had gotten a good deal, but in the end he suffered a double loss. "I'll never fight for the secret room again. You're such a scammer." Pockmarked Lu screamed in his heart. Lu Ming took the storage ring and moved his foot away. "Get lost." "Yes, yes." Lu Motzi scrambled to his feet, trying to get up and leave. Click! At that moment, the door of a secret room opened. Whoosh! With a flash, a silhouette emerged from within. It was a man in his 20s. He wore a black robe and had a cold expression. As soon as he came out, his eyes scanned the surroundings. "Bai Long, it's Bai Long." The other young men's faces changed when they saw the black-robed young man. "Who has an inscription stone? Hand it over quickly. My time in the secret room is up. I need to continue cultivating and break through a martial skill." Bai Long yelled. His eyes were like lightning, and he did not hide his powerful aura. 5th layer martial master. This young man is actually a 5th layer martial master. Suddenly, Bai Long's gaze landed on the secret room behind Lu Ming. "Haha, the secret room that just opened is perfect for me." After saying this, he strode toward the secret room. Lu Ming moved slightly and blocked in front of Bai Long. "This secret room is mine." Bai Long was startled. He looked at Lu Ming and said with a cold smile, "Yours? Give it to me now." Although he said give, his tone was overbearing and domineering. It was a direct command. "I'm sorry, I won't give it to you." Lu Ming said calmly, "Won't give it to you? Kid, it seems like you don't know who I am. I'll say it again. I'm going to cultivate my martial skill in the secret room. If I'm delayed by you and my martial skill fails to break through, can you bear the responsibility?" Bai Long said coldly, "If you need a secret room, open it yourself. Don't talk nonsense here. It's none of my business if you need a martial skill. Get lost. I still need to cultivate." Chapter 207. Bai Long's face instantly darkened. Haha, although this kid has some strength, he's really a hothead. He dares to talk to Bai Long like that. He's finished. Lu Matzi was about to leave, but he stopped at this moment. Seeing Lu Ming talking to Bai Long like that, he laughed in his heart, taking pleasure in Lu Ming's misfortune. It would be a lie to say that he did not resent Lu Ming for what he had done to him. However, he was not as strong as Lu Ming, so he could only swallow his pride. Now that he saw that Lu Ming had provoked Bai Long, he was naturally overjoyed. He hoped that Bai Long would teach Lu Ming a lesson. The others were similar, taking pleasure in Lu Ming's misfortune. "Kid, what did you say?" Bai Long's face was cold as he asked in a deep voice, "Are you deaf? I told you to get lost." Lu Ming repeated, "Ha ha ha." Bai Long laughed out of anger. A cold killing intent erupted from his body as he looked at Lu Ming ferociously. "Kid, in this outer hall, no one has dared to talk to me like that for a long time. You're the first. It seems that I haven't made a move for a long time, and some ants are about to overturn the sky. Today, I'll teach you an unforgettable lesson." After saying that, he took a few steps forward and appeared in front of Lu Ming in an instant. Boom! Bai Long punched out, and a terrifying whistling sound immediately rang out. This punch was extremely shocking. The fist force rolled out, and even a mountain would be shattered. Bai Long's lips curled into a ferocious smile. He wanted to break all the bones in Lu Ming's body with this punch. In the world of martial artists, strength spoke louder than words. It was normal to draw a sword and kill if there was a disagreement. "I didn't want to make a move today, but there's a group of people who are courting death." Lu Ming whispered and waved his palm at Bai Long. The moment he waved his hand, a long spear condensed. Whoosh! The tip of the spear pierced through everything. Bai Long's terrifying fist energy was pierced through like tofu. Ah! Bai Long screamed and retreated rapidly. Lu Matzi and the others were shocked. They hurriedly looked at Bai Long and sucked in a breath of cold air. There was a hole in Bai Long's fist. White bones could be seen and blood flowed out. The hole went straight through his arm, as if it had been blasted open. It was extremely terrifying. Bai Long was trembling all over. His face was pale, and cold sweat was dripping down his forehead. He let out a low growl. "With this little ability of yours, you're still acting like you're about to explode. I'm really speechless. Now get out of here." Lu Ming coldly shouted, "Brat, you win, but today's matter isn't over. Just you wait." Bai Long roared angrily and then fled in a sorry state. "Why are you still here? Do you want to be like Bai Long?" Lu Ming looked at Lu Matzi and the others with a half smile. Lu Matzi and the others' expressions changed drastically. They were almost scared out of their wits. Lu Ming was too powerful. He crippled Bai Long's arm in one move. How could they afford to offend such a ruthless person? "Let's go. I'll leave right away." Lu Matzi shouted and quickly walked up the stone stairs. The others followed closely behind. When they reached the second floor, Lu Matzi stopped. "Lu Matzi, what's wrong? Haven't you been taught a lesson yet? Do you want to stay and be tortured?" One of the young men sneered and gloated. "Shut up!" Lu Matzi shouted coldly. His face was extremely gloomy. "Although that brat is strong, he's brainless. He even dared to hurt Bai Long. Now that Bai Long is injured, he'll definitely go back and ask his elder brother, Bai Qi once Bai Qi comes, that brat will be dead. Of course, I'll stay and watch the show. As soon as these words came out, the other young men's expressions changed. That's right. Bai Qi is one of the top 10 Outer Hall experts. With him here, that brat is doomed. I'll stay and watch the show too. The young men spoke one after another. Then they sat down cross-legged on the second floor and waited for Bai Qi's arrival. The third floor. Brother Tianyan, you're so powerful. When can I be as powerful as you? No, I'll be happy if I can be half as powerful as you. Ming Peak looked at Lu Ming with admiration. Now Lu Ming was his idol. As long as you work hard, you'll soon catch up with me. Lu Ming smiled and walked into the secret chamber. He sensed it carefully and then shook his head. Although the fire attribute, spiritual qi in the secret chamber was rich, it did not meet Lu Ming's requirements. He needed to continue down. Ming Peak, this secret chamber is for you to cultivate, Lu Ming said. For me? Brother Tianyan, what about you? Ming Peak asked. I want to continue down. This place isn't very useful for me, Lu Ming said. All right, then I won't stand on ceremony. Ming Peak's eyes lit up with excitement and walked into the secret chamber. Brother Tianyan, I'll close the door and cultivate, Ming Peak shouted. Seeing Lu Ming nod, he pressed a button and the stone door of the secret chamber closed. On the other hand, Lu Ming continued to head down. Soon, he arrived at the fourth floor. 27 inscription stones were required to open a secret chamber on the fourth floor. In the middle of the fourth floor, there were two people sitting cross-legged. When Lu Ming came down, the two of them looked at Lu Ming maliciously. Obviously, they wanted to snatch the secret chamber for themselves. Lu Ming smiled faintly and did not take it to heart. Lu Ming pondered for a moment and shook his head. Then, he continued to walk down to the fifth floor. The two young men's faces changed as they watched Lu Ming walk down to the fifth floor. Their eyes flickered, but they did not follow him in the end. Those who could cultivate on the fifth floor were not weak. Many of them were even disciples of the Star General Hall, experts above the 7th level of the Martial Master Realm. Lu Ming walked down the stairs. When he approached the fifth floor, the power of inscription acted on his body, preventing him from continuing. Lu Ming's body shook and the power was defeated. It seems that without a certain cultivation, you can't cultivate here. Lu Ming smiled. When he stepped foot on the fifth level, Lu Ming felt waves of scorching and violent fire attribute, spirit energy, surging from all around him, causing his skin to feel a little numb and itchy. No wonder there was an inscription. The fire attribute, spiritual qi here, is too hot and violent. If an ordinary person is hit by this spiritual qi, they will die. If a weaker martial artist cultivates here for a long time, their meridians will be burned. However, this spiritual qi is suitable for me. Lu Ming thought to himself. There were more than a dozen secret chambers around the fifth floor. About half of them were occupied. There was not a single person in the open space. Here, no one had snatched the secret chamber. Lu Ming walked to a secret chamber and took out 81 inscription stones. That's right. On the fifth floor, one needed 81 inscription stones to open a secret chamber and cultivate for a month. He inlaid the inscription stones on the stone door. The light opened and Lu Ming walked in. After walking in, he closed the stone door. When the stone door closed, the walls of the secret chamber flowed with inscriptions. The inscriptions glowed and the fire attribute, spiritual qi, in the secret chamber became denser. The inscription array in the secret chamber helped to absorb and gather the spiritual qi between heaven and earth. The fire attribute, spiritual qi, here, seems to come from the depths of the ground. Chapter 208. There were a total of 13 levels in the earth element cave. The further down one went, the denser the fire element spiritual qi. It was said that the further down one went, the fire element spiritual chi was not the only thing. There were other things of a deeper level. The 13 levels were not natural. The Burning Sun imperial family had spent a lot of manpower to excavate them. However, no matter how hard he tried, he could only excavate the 13th level. It was impossible for him to continue down. It was said that the last 2 levels were excavated by a peerless martial king of the Burning Sun imperial family in ancient times. Others could not even go down. Lu Ming heard all this from Ming Peak. What was below the 13th level? Countless people in the Burning Sun Empire were wondering, but no one knew the answer. Lu Ming shook his head and stopped thinking about it. He sat down cross-legged and started to cultivate using the true dragon fighting technique. The fire element spiritual chi around him was absorbed into Lu Ming's body. The scorching fire element spiritual chi was constantly converted into genuine chi. The scorching aura could also refine genuine chi and make it more condensed. Lu Ming realized that the speed of cultivation here was more than 20 times faster than outside. 1 day of cultivation here was equivalent to more than 20 days outside. Although the cost was huge, 80 inscription stones were equivalent to more than 2,400 spiritual crystals. The effect was worth it, especially for martial artists who needed to break through their bottlenecks. They would have a higher chance of breaking through their bottlenecks here. Lu Ming's bloodline was now at level 6. However, the speed of absorbing spiritual chi was as fast as a level 9 bloodline. It was terrifyingly fast. The spirit-devouring bloodline was activated. Lu Ming's body was like a whirlpool, constantly devouring the surrounding spirit energy of heaven and earth. Whoosh whoosh, Lu Ming circulated his true chi. The true chi in his meridians transformed into many small dragons that seemed to be material, swimming in his meridians. The vortex in his dantian spun continuously like a nebula. Just like that, Lu Ming was immersed in his cultivation. A few hours later, at the 2nd level of the earth element cave. They're here. Suddenly, Lu Mazi's eyes lit up and he shouted. The others looked at the entrance. 2 figures walked in. One of them was Bai Long. At this time, one of Bai Long's hands was wrapped in a thick bandage. Beside Bai Long, there was a young man with a cold expression who looked 50 to 60% similar to Bai Long. Bai Qi really came. Lu Mazi and the others looked at the young man with deep respect. Bai Qi was one of the top 10 experts of the Outer Palace. His cultivation had reached the peak of the 6th level of the martial master realm. However, his battle prowess was extremely terrifying. It was easy for him to kill 7th layer martial grandmasters. Many inner hall students were not his match. He was a peerless genius. They couldn't compare to him at all. Bai Qi glanced at Lu Mazi and the others indifferently before heading to the 3rd floor. Let's go and take a look. Gritting his teeth, Lu Mazi followed him down to the 3rd level, followed by the others. When Bai Qi and the others arrived at the 3rd floor, they saw that there was no one there. Speak, where is that little bastard? Bai Long's eyes were extremely cold as he stared at Lu Mazi and the others. We don't know. We were also chased away by that kid. Lu Mazi's face changed greatly. It seems that he has already entered the secret room to cultivate. Second brother, do you still remember which secret room it was? Bai Qi said. His voice was calm, but there was a hidden murderous intent, causing Lu Mazi and the others to shiver involuntarily. That room, that's right. Bai Long pointed at the room that Lu Ming had opened previously, which was also the room that Ming Peak was cultivating in. All right, does that kid think that hiding in the secret room is useful? Even if he is hiding in there, I will still blast him out. Bai Qi sneered. Boom! Then he attacked and slammed his palm on the stone door of the secret room. A violent tremor sounded. In the secret room, Ming Peak was cultivating. Suddenly, an earth-shattering boom sounded. His body shook violently and he spat out a mouthful of blood, his face pale. Who Who is attacking the stone door? Damn it. Ming Peek roared. Boom! Outside, Bai Qi slammed his palm again, causing the stone door to tremble. Lu Matzi and the others were shocked. Bai Qi was really audacious. There was a rule in the Star General Hall that no one could attack the door of the secret room, because it would easily cause the person inside to go berserk. But now, Bai Qi completely ignored this rule. This was the confidence that came with being strong. In the secret room, Ming Peek gritted his teeth. But the sound of the bombardment continued as if it was endless. An hour later, Ming Peek could no longer endure it. I want to see who it is. I will report him to the elders. Ming Peek roared, opened the stone door, and walked out. Bai Long, it's you again. As soon as the stone door was opened, Ming Peek saw Bai Long finally out. Why is it you? Where is that kid? Which secret room is he in? Bai Long stared at Ming Peek and said coldly, Why should I tell you? Also, you attacked the stone door and violated the rules of the Star General Hall. I will report you, Ming Peek shouted. But before he could finish his words, he felt a strong gust of wind attack him. The speed of this gust of wind was far beyond his imagination. There was no way he could dodge it. Slap! Ming Peek's face was heavily slapped. Ming Peek's body flew out. So much nonsense. Speak, which secret room is that kid in? Bai Qi retracted his palm and asked coldly, I don't know. Ming Peek struggled to get up and shouted, You don't know? You still dare to be stubborn? Bai Qi's eyes revealed a cold, murderous intent. With a flash, he appeared beside Ming Peek and stepped on Ming Peek's face, causing Ming Peek's face to collide with the stone floor. Do you know now? Bai Qi asked indifferently. Roar. Ming Peek let out a beast-like roar and struggled angrily. He shouted, I said I don't know, and I mean I don't know. If you have the guts, kill me today. Otherwise, I will definitely take revenge. Big brother, it seems that he is not lying. I have seen the secret rooms here before, and there are no more than one. I guess that kid went down. Bai Long said. Went down? Bai Qi furrowed his brows. If it went down, it would be troublesome because they did not know which secret room Lu Ming went into. Without knowing which secret room it was, he did not dare to attack recklessly, especially from the 4th floor onwards. Everyone was an expert. If he attacked the wrong room and provoked other experts, things would be troublesome. Bang! Bai Qi kicked Ming Peek away and said disdainfully, A martial master like an ant wants to take revenge on me? Fine, I will wait for you. After saying that, Bai Qi looked at Lu Matzi and the others and said, You guys guard here. When you see that kid come out, immediately report to me. This, Lu Matzi and the others hesitated. What, do you want to refuse? Bai Qi stared at Lu Matzi and the others with an unfriendly expression and said coldly, No, we will definitely guard here. When that kid comes out, we will report to you immediately. Lu Matzi hurriedly nodded in agreement. Okay. Chapter 209. Puff. After Bai Qi left, Ming Peek spat out a mouthful of blood, his face pale. Ming Peek clenched his fists tightly. Because he used too much force, his nails pierced into his flesh, causing blood to seep out. Bai Qi, I swear I'm not human if I don't take revenge for this. Ming Peek's eyes were red. With a roar, he staggered upwards and left the Earth Yuan cave. Lu Matzi and the rest waited there. 3 days later, in Ming Peek's dormitory, Pearl and Ming Peek sat opposite each other. Bang! Pearl slammed the table heavily and said with a gloomy face, Bai Qi, you've gone too far. Sister, I'll definitely take revenge for this. Ming Peek gritted his teeth and said. After 3 days, his injuries were much better, but there were a few broken bones in his body. It was not something that could be healed in a few days. Little brother, do you really want Big Brother to take action? Pearl asked. That's right. Only Big Brother can take revenge for me, Ming Peek said. Big Brother is focused on cultivation and keeps a low profile, so he's not listed in the top 10 experts of the Outer Palace. However, you and I both know his combat strength. It should be enough to deal with Bai Qi, but Big Brother is in seclusion now. I'm afraid you'll have to wait. Pearl pondered for a while and said, It's okay, I'll wait. When Big Brother comes out of seclusion, he'll definitely take revenge for me. Ming Peek said, That's good. Pearl nodded. Lu Ming knew nothing about what happened in the outside world. He was focused on cultivation. Every day, apart from cultivating the true dragon fighting art, he comprehended the power of fire. In the blink of an eye, a month had passed. Lu Ming had gained a lot in this 1 month. Cultivating here for a month was equivalent to cultivating outside for more than a year. In close to 2 years, Lu Ming had properly condensed his true qi. Not only had he eliminated all the hidden dangers left behind by his rapid advancement, his cultivation had also steadily advanced, step by step reaching the peak of the 4th layer of the martial master realm. There was no other way. Lu Ming needed too much energy to increase his cultivation, and Lu Ming's main goal was to lay down his foundation. Therefore, his progress was very slow. However, Xiao Chen's true qi was full and smooth. He had already reached the limits of the 4th grade martial grandmaster. He was only a step away from the 5th grade martial grandmaster. Lu Ming was still very satisfied. His power of fire had also made great progress. Although it was still far from reaching great accomplishment, it had been steadily advancing. He had taken a large step forward from the foundation of small accomplishment. If I have time in the future, I should come here more often to cultivate. This is only the 5th level. I'm sure that the levels below will be even more effective. Lu Ming pondered. Then the stone door opened. It was time. Lu Ming walked out. Then he went up. When he reached the 3rd level, Lu Ming was slightly stunned because Lu Matzi and the others were still there. It's that kid. He came out. When Lu Matzi and the others saw Lu Ming, their eyes lit up. He really doesn't change, Lu Ming muttered. Then he looked at Ming Peek's secret room. The stone door was dim. Obviously, no one was cultivating inside. Ming Peek should have arrived at the secret room a few minutes earlier than me. Logically speaking, if he came out, he should have waited for me. Why don't I see him now? Could it be that he came out early? Lu Ming thought in his heart. That's not right. Lu Ming's eyes suddenly flashed because he saw some faint palm prints on the secret room's stone door. Although the palm prints were very dim, how could they escape Lu Ming's eyes? Lu Ming remembered that there was definitely no such thing before. Could it be that something happened to Ming Peek? Lu Ming's eyes flickered. He suddenly turned around and looked at Lu Matzi and the others. Stop right there. At this time, Lu Matzi and the others were trying to escape. Lu Ming roared. They were so scared that their faces turned pale and they had to stop. Let me ask you, where is the person in this secret room? Is it the young man who came with me? Lu Ming asked coldly. This we don't know. Lu Matzi's eyes flickered and he stammered. There must be something wrong. The expressions of Lu Matzi and the others made Lu Ming even more certain. Tell me what happened. If you don't tell me, you can't leave. Lu Ming's eyes flashed coldly and his killing intent burst out. Lu Matzi and the others felt cold all over and were scared to death. Finally, they told him everything. Boom! An extremely powerful aura burst out from Lu Ming's body. The violent, genuine qi was raging in the cave. Bai Long, Bai Qi, damn you! Lu Ming whispered in an extremely cold voice. Speaking of which, Ming Peek was still implicated by him. He must get revenge for Ming Peek. Big brother, this has nothing to do with us. We are here because Bai Qi forced us. Lu Matzi said in a trembling voice. Cut the crap. Lead the way to Bai Qi's residence. Lu Ming said coldly. Lu Matzi and the others were stunned and then they were shocked. It turned out that Lu Ming was going to find trouble with Bai Qi directly. Well, this guy is really arrogant. Take him to Bai Qi, and let Bai Qi teach him a lesson. Let me vent my anger. Lu Matzi thought in his heart, and then quickly nodded in agreement. Immediately, Lu Matzi and the others led Lu Ming to Bai Qi's residence. Just 10 minutes before Lu Ming ended his cultivation, a tall young man carrying a saber on his back walked into Ming Peak's residence. Ha ha ha, little brother, you finally joined the Star General Hall. I have been busy with my cultivation and didn't come to see you. Don't blame me. The moment the young man walked into Ming Peak's room, he laughed loudly. Beside the young man was Pearl. Big brother, you are out? When Ming Peak saw the young man, he exclaimed in joy. Yes, I'm out. It's been a long time. Let me see if your cultivation has improved. The young man had a smile on his face as he sized up Ming Peak. After taking a look, his face changed slightly and he said, Little brother, you were injured some time ago? As the saying goes, it takes 100 days to recover from a serious injury. Ming Peak had many of his bones broken a month ago. Even if his cultivation wasn't weak, he still couldn't recover to his peak in a month. Naturally, the young man saw through it at a glance. Big brother, you have to help me. At that moment, Ming Peak cried out. What happened? The young man frowned. It's like this. At that moment, Ming Peak told him what happened. Bai Qi. What a Bai Qi, you are merely ranked 10th in the Outer Hall's top 10 experts. How dare you be so arrogant? It seems that I, Myongcheng, have been cultivating hard all this time. It's time for me to move my muscles and bones and let others know how powerful I am. Myongcheng's face darkened as he said, coldly, Let's go. Take me to Bai Qi's residence. I will get back at you. Myongcheng waved his hand. Big brother, I know where Bai Qi lives, Pearl said. Then, the 3 Ming siblings went to Bai Qi's residence together. As one of the Outer Hall's top 10 experts, Bai Qi lived in a completely different place from the other students. He had his own courtyard, which was right behind the other students' pavilions. Soon, Myongcheng, Ming Peak, and Pearl arrived at Bai Qi's courtyard. Bai Qi, get out here. Chapter 210. His voice rumbled and spread throughout the entire dormitory area. The entire dormitory area was shaken all of a sudden. What? Someone asked Bai Qi to come out. Who is this person? Why is he so arrogant? Could he be one of the top 10 Outer Hall experts? Bai Qi ranks 10th among the top 10 Outer Hall experts. Only the other top 10 experts dare to call him that. There's a show to watch. Let's go and have a look. Suddenly, figures flashed out from the pavilion of the dormitory and headed towards Bai Qi's courtyard. Soon, there was a circle of figures outside Bai Qi's courtyard, and the number of people was still increasing. Where did this blind dog come from? Do you want to die? A loud roar came from Bai Qi's courtyard. Then, the gate of the courtyard opened, and 4 or 5 figures walked out. The one in the lead was Bai Qi, and Bai Long was also by his side. It had been a month, but Bai Long's arm had not recovered and was still wrapped in a thick bandage. At this time, Bai Long glanced around. It was obvious that he was the one who roared just now. Then his eyes fell on Ming Peak. Little bastard, it's you. What's wrong? Didn't I teach you a lesson last time? You want to die now. In that case, I'll fulfill your wish. Bai Long grinned hideously. Whoosh! Slap him. Suddenly, Myongcheng moved. In a flash, he appeared in front of Bai Long and slapped him. He was so fast that even Bai Qi could not save him in time. Slap! Bai Long was sent flying by the slap. The scene suddenly fell silent. Isn't that Myongcheng the martial arts maniac? How dare he slap Bai Long in front of Bai Qi? Yes, Myongcheng the martial arts maniac used to cultivate into a demon. I didn't expect him to be so bold. Bai Qi is going crazy. I wonder if Myongcheng can handle him? Sounds of discussion could be heard all around. Myongcheng, right? Do you know the consequences of doing this? Bai Bai Qi's face was extremely gloomy as he looked coldly at Myongcheng. You hurt my brother. Why didn't you think of the consequences? Now I gave him a slap, which is considered light. Now it's your turn. Let me see what means you, one of the top 10 masters, have. Myongcheng stared at Bai Qi, his eyes flashing with a crazy desire to fight. At the same time, a powerful aura burst out from his body. The aura of a peak 6th layer martial master. Bai Qi's pupils slightly shrunk. Soon after, he coldly smiled and said, So you have the cultivation of the peak of the 6th level of the martial master realm. No wonder you dared to cause trouble in front of my door. However, today I will tell you that although we are both at the peak of the 6th level of the martial master realm, the difference in battle strength is like heaven and earth. You will regret your actions today. Boom! A powerful aura also erupted from Bai Qi's body. It was also the aura of a peak 6th layer martial master. The two auras collided, stirring up a gale. Ha, then let's fight. Myongcheng laughed wildly. His battle saber was unsheathed, carrying a terrifying saber light. The saber light turned black and soared into the sky, stirring up the wind and clouds. 8 desolate battle saber. Myongcheng roared and slashed out. The terrifying saber light violently slashed towards Bai Qi. As soon as the saber was slashed out, a terrifying saber intent filled the entire place. Everyone felt a terrifying pressure. So strong, too strong, someone roared. Bai Qi's pupils suddenly shrunk and he shouted, White snake dragon palm! As the palm blasted out, the space shook. A huge white snake condensed, hissing towards the sky and rushing towards Myongcheng's saber light. An earth-shattering vibration sounded. Bai Qi's body shook and he was shaken back. As for Myongcheng, he did not move at all. Everyone present was dumbfounded. Myongcheng, this martial madman, is actually so strong. Bai Qi was beaten back in one move. It seems that we have underestimated Myongcheng before. Some people just don't like fame. They're not necessarily weak. Now it seems that the top 10 experts of the Outer Palace are not necessarily the strongest. That's right. Of course, there were also people who disagreed. Bai Qi was just careless just now. He may not lose. It's too early to say this, someone retorted. Everyone was discussing, but Bai Qi's face was extremely gloomy. Bai Qi, it turns out that your strength is only like this. It's really disappointing. From now on, your title of top 10 experts of the Outer Palace will be mine. Myongcheng laughed. The battle has just begun. It's too early for you to be happy. You are not qualified to defeat me. White snake dragon palm, dragon transformation. Bai Qi roared. His genuine qi surged and his hands were filled with dense white light. He blasted out a palm and a huge white snake appeared. As soon as it appeared, it changed rapidly and finally turned into a huge white dragon, pouncing towards Myongcheng. Dragon, it really turned into a dragon. Everyone's heart trembled when they saw this scene. Bai Qi's combat strength was really amazing. With such combat strength, not to mention a martial artist at the peak of LV6 martial master, even an LV7 martial master would not be able to withstand it. Insignificant skill. I will defeat you in 30 moves. Myongcheng sneered and slowly raised a saber with both hands. At this moment, a huge saber was formed. The huge saber was dark like the scythe of the Grim Reaper. It slowly slashed towards Bai Qi. The huge saber and the white dragon collided. The white dragon roared and opened its mouth to bite the huge saber. However, the huge saber shook violently and the terrifying saber light was shocking. Boom! In the end, the huge white dragon was defeated and turned into energy and dissipated. However, the huge saber did not stop. White snake dragon palm, 10 dragons in one palm. Bai Qi roared and clapped with both hands. Roar! Roar! At this moment, 10 gigantic white dragons appeared and roared as they charged towards Ming City. 8 wasteland saber fight! 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 Myongcheng's battle intent was shocking. He slashed his saber wildly, displaying the domineering and powerful strength of a swordsman. At this moment, Lu Ming, Lu Matzi, and the others just arrived. Someone is fighting Bai Qi. Who is it? How can he be so powerful? Pockmark, Lu sucked in a cold breath. That's Myong Cheng, the martial madman Myong Cheng. I didn't expect him to be so powerful. It's amazing. Fortunately, I didn't offend him before. Another young man said, Myong Cheng? His surname is Ming? Lu Ming's expression changed. He glanced around and saw Pearl and Ming peek. I wonder what's the relationship between Myong Cheng and Pearl and Ming peek. Lu Ming thought. At the same time, he walked forward and the true qi in his body surged out. The people in front of him unconsciously moved aside. Lu Ming walked forward and stood in the crowd to watch. Boom! 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 The rumbling continued. Myong Cheng and Bai Qi fought for more than 10 moves in the blink of an eye. However, Myong Cheng became more and more powerful, and Bai Qi gradually lost. Ah! Bai Qi roared, but it was useless. He was completely suppressed by Myong Cheng. 8 Wasteland Saber, break heaven and earth. Myong Cheng made the last slash. This slash condensed all of Myong Cheng's battle intent. This slash seemed to be able to destroy everything. As the saber slashed down, Bai Qi roared furiously and retreated at top speed. Everyone could see that a wound had appeared on Bai Qi's body, and it was dripping with blood. Bai Qi's face was pale. Chapter 211. Myong Cheng, a martial arts madman who usually kept a low profile and only knew how to cultivate, actually had such a strong strength. He said that he would defeat Bai Qi within 30 moves, and then he defeated Bai Qi within 30 moves. It was beyond everyone's expectations. Bai Qi, is this all you've got? It's really disappointing. From now on, you are out of the top 10 experts, and your ranking will be inherited by me. Myong Cheng said loudly. Bai Qi clenched his teeth and his face was livid, but he couldn't refute. He was originally ranked 10th among the top 10 experts. Now that he was defeated, he should naturally withdraw from the top 10 experts and be replaced by Myong Cheng. Also, you are not qualified to live in this courtyard. You have 3 days to move out. Myong Cheng laughed. What? Don't go too far. Bai Qi roared. Go too far? Why didn't you think so when you beat my brother? It's nothing more than thinking that you can bully others at will, because you are strong. Now, my strength is stronger than yours. So what if I bully you? Myong Cheng was very strong and sneered. You! Bai Qi was furious, but he had nothing to say. Haha, second sister, little brother, let's go. Myong Cheng laughed and turned to walk out. Humph, why aren't you arrogant now? Trash. Ming Peek curled his lips and looked at Bai Qi and Bai Long contemptuously. Bai Qi and Bai Long were so angry that their mouths were crooked and their eyes almost popped out. Myong Cheng and his siblings passed through the crowd. The people around saw that Bai Qi was so embarrassed and gloated. Bai Qi and his brother usually offended a lot of people. What are you looking at? If you look again, be careful that your eyes will be gouged out. Bai Long roared and swept his gaze across the crowd. The surrounding crowd couldn't help but lower their heads, but their hearts were filled with disdain. Just now, in front of Myong Cheng, why wasn't he arrogant? Now that Myong Cheng was gone, he started to be arrogant. Bai Long's gaze swept over the crowd. Suddenly, his eyes widened and revealed a ferocious expression. He pointed in Lu Ming's direction and shouted, It's you, you little bastard, it's all your fault. Big brother, it's this bastard who injured me that day. Bai Long pointed at Lu Ming and shouted. The people around Lu Ming were horrified. They hurriedly took a few steps back, distancing themselves from Lu Ming. In this way, Lu Ming was exposed. This is the kid. Bai Qi looked at Lu Ming, his eyes full of cold, murderous intent. Yes, at this moment, his murderous intent towards Lu Ming was incomparably strong. He believed that the reason he ended up like this being defeated and humiliated by Myeongchang in public, was all thanks to Lu Ming. If Lu Ming hadn't injured Bai Long, he wouldn't have gone to the Earth Element Cave to find trouble with Lu Ming, injured Ming Peak, and attracted Myeongchang here. At this moment, he blamed everything on Lu Ming. His murderous intent towards Lu Ming was even stronger than towards Myeongchang. "Damn it, this kid deserves to die." Bai Qi roared, "Senior Bai, we've brought the kid you wanted." At this moment, Lu Matzi squeezed out of the crowd and said to Bai Qi, "Little bastard, come here, kneel down, and kowtow to me 100 times in public to apologize to me. Hurry up." Bai Qi pointed at Lu Ming and shouted. He wanted to get back at Lu Ming for the humiliation he suffered today. He also wanted to let others know that he, Bai Qi, was still a powerhouse that everyone respected. Lu Ming's lips suddenly curled into a sneer. How could he not see through Bai Qi's intentions? He was treating him as a pushover. However, was Lu Ming a pushover? Lu Ming casually took a step forward, looked at Bai Long and said, "What's wrong? Didn't you get taught a lesson back then? Now you want to be taught a lesson again." Bai Long's face showed a hint of malevolence, and he said, "Kid, today I'm going to take back 10 times what you did to me." "Take back 10 times? Just by you? Or just by your big brother who was easily defeated just now?" Lu Ming smiled faintly and glanced at Bai Qi in an instant. Bai Qi's face changed and became extremely ugly. The muscles on his face trembled violently, and his eyes revealed an extremely cold, murderous intent. He regarded the incident just now as a great humiliation, but Lu Ming still brought it up now. This was a scar that was reopened in public. Faint gasps could be heard from the audience. Lu Ming was too bold. He actually dared to say that about Bai Qi in public. It's over. Everyone thought that Lu Ming was finished. Bai Qi would never let him go. Sure enough, Bai Qi's face was ferocious. He looked at Lu Ming and said in a cold voice, "Little bastard, if I don't break all the bones in your body today, I'm not Bai Qi, change it to idiot. It's very smooth, isn't it? It's also very compatible with you." Lu Ming said with a smile, "Ah, you're courting death." Bai Qi couldn't bear it anymore. He roared and pounced on Lu Ming. White snake dragon palm. As soon as he made his move, Bai Qi used his ultimate move. A giant white dragon roared and pounced on Lu Ming. A fierce aura surged out and filled the audience. Many people felt the terrifying pressure and retreated with a change in expression. Although Bai Qi was defeated by Myeongchang, he didn't suffer any serious injuries. His strength didn't weaken and was still terrifying. Everyone was shocked. They knew that the reason why Bai Qi was easily defeated by Myeongchang wasn't that Bai Qi was weak, but that Myeongchang was too strong. That kid won't be smashed into a meat patty, right? Many people had such a thought in their minds. Insignificant skill. A faint voice came from Lu Ming's mouth. Then, Lu Ming's hand glowed and condensed a long spear. He swept it out. Bang! The long spear swept across the giant white dragon and smashed it into pieces. Bai Qi groaned and his expression changed. He retreated rapidly and took more than 10 steps back before he could stabilize himself. The crowd was stunned and their eyes widened as they watched this scene. Bai Qi retreated. He was actually pushed back by Lu Ming. How was this possible? Some people even rubbed their eyes hard, thinking that they had seen wrongly. What dragon palm? I think it's more like insect palm. Lu Ming said lightly, "You, take this." Bai Qi was so angry that he almost vomited blood. He roared and continued to pounce on Lu Ming. White snake dragon palm, 10 dragons in one palm. Bai Qi struck out with both palms and used his strongest move in the fierce battle with Myeongchang. "I'll defeat you in 3 moves." Lu Ming roared and moved his hand. The demon-suppressing spear appeared in his hand. Whoosh! Whoosh! Lu Ming thrust his spear, and the demon-suppressing spear turned into 10 spear shadows. They were so fast that it was as if 10 bolts of lightning had appeared in the sky. Then, 10 roars sounded in the sky. The 10 giant white dragons that Bai Qi blasted out were all defeated by Lu Ming. This is the first move. Next, the second move. Before the crowd could be shocked, Lu Ming used the second move. Whoosh! The black, demon-suppressing spear pierced through the air and stabbed towards Bai Qi so fast, too fast.